Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here. It is a Wow Wednesday, and wow, there's a lot to talk about today. All kinds of information dropped yesterday, officially and unofficially yesterday. So we got a lot to go over today. So first of all, the first thing that got dropped yesterday was the head coaching staff of Darko Rajakovic was officially announced, the complete staff. So we know everybody who's involved in his coaching staff at this point. We also know the summer league roster at this point. They finally dropped that yesterday. And then this morning, I'm waking up to a report on Sportsnet that is saying that there was a young versus old divide on the Raptors from last season. They're saying that Pascal and Fred had issues with younger players on our team not playing up to what they should be playing as far as like effort and different things. And that there at some point was something said to them that really rubbed some people the wrong way and that it caused a dissension on the team. So what we were perceiving or feeling may very well have been true, that there was a divide between the young players and the old players in the Raptors last season and the way they looked at how they should be operating, practicing, working hard, and all these kind of things. Well, some people, once again, people took sides and they really kind of went with, some people were like standing up for Scott and the young people, like being so angry towards Fred. Well, that's the wrong side to get on. I'm going to tell you all right now. If Fred is saying that somebody is not working hard enough, I'm going to listen to Fred because Fred on these kind of subjects knows what he's talking about much better than Scott does. So, everybody who kind of got mad at Fred for trying to be a mentor or tell Scott to work harder, stop, please, because you're wrong. This is the thing. This is the thing. These older guys pass down how to play in the game properly to the young guys. And if they're not properly listening to them, that's on the young guys. That's not the older guys' problem. That's not their fault. They're the ones who know what it takes because Fred has a ring, Fred has a championship. And, if he's trying to teach and mold the younger players to get to that point where he's already gotten, they need to listen to him. So that's very disappointing that there is an actual documented report at this point pointing out that there was a young versus old divide on the Raptors team this season. It's ridiculous. There's no place for that. And if this is a problem with the younger generation that they don't want to listen to the old heads, well, that's a big problem. Seriously. This puts a whole new light on. Good luck with those guys from Nick Nurse. This has a whole new light on. Well, Fred going to Houston to play with a lot of young players down there. How's that going to go? We did see Fred running up a hill with Jalen Green yesterday. So we'll see. This puts a whole other new light on. Scotty Barnes saying at the end of the season, I need to work on my conditioning more. So hopefully, Scotty's smart. And, in some ways he's a sensitive kid. So it may have been the approach by Fred wasn't the right approach at that time, and maybe things got a little sour at that point. But he may got the message actually still. It's that kind of thing where, yeah, something ugly happens and you don't like it. Maybe you lash out and make it worse, but the message is got across to you and you need to do something about it. So I fully hope that that's what's going on with Scott. It makes the thing with that look a lot different too now at this point with Thaddeus Young and him arguing in the middle of halftime. I'm telling you, young players in the NBA, listen to your vets. Seriously, y'all. Y'all are crazy if you think that you don't need to listen to your vets. And also, I'm hearing more and more that some of the vets don't even want to teach the young guys because they're not open to being taught by them. So this is a real serious problem. In some ways, once again, the NBA is worried about the quality of the product of the game. The game, they don't want ugly games where the games look like amateurish, where there's a lot of turnovers, a lot of missed shots, just poor quality of play. And well, that part of fixing the quality of play in the NBA, which is poor at this point, seriously, is very, very poor. There's a lot of games that are garbage that nobody should be watching because they don't play like professionals. They play like garbage. So part of keeping that continuity of good quality basketball is teaching how to play the NBA properly. And well, if there's the phone is not going through the line as far as like the messages to the, that's a problem. And I'm going to tell you right now, nobody should be blaming the older generation in the NBA. Seriously, nobody, because this is what has always happened in the NBA. The older generation would pass it down to the younger generation. Why is the younger generation rejecting the older generation? Is what I'm saying right now. Why? How does that serve you guys? You young 19, 20-year olds that are in the NBA right now. How does that serve you guys? Are y'all just that dumb? Are you just very arrogant? What is it? If I'm in a field of profession and I have people that have been there longer and know how to do it and have way more experience, I want to glean as much information from them to be the best at my job. Why would you reject good knowledge, good information to help you make more money? I don't get this. It just really shows a low IQ and kind of a stupid arrogance in that generation. If this is the phenomenon that's going on around the league in different places, this is no place on our franchise, I'll tell you that much. And, if there is a player on our team, I don't care who it is, young or old, that is causing problems because they're not listening or they're not playing as a team player or they have a problem with people being critical of them. Well, I honestly don't have any time for them and I would trade them. Even Scott. Listen, I love you, Scotty. I think you mean well. You're a real stud and an athlete and you could do a lot. But if you have a problem with learning from older players, then dude, seriously, I don't want you on the Raptors because honestly, that means you have a limit to what you're going to get to on your in your career because you won't expand yourself in your mind to listen to older players. That's a big problem. That's a seriously big problem. Now, maybe Delano was one of the youngsters who would listen. Well, now he's on Boston. It could be a couple of different young guys that just being goofing off. That rookie class may have been a problem, Justin, Delano, and Scotty, because they're just too goofy and they're not taking things that they need to be more taken more seriously in some ways. So I don't know. I will not speculate any further on it, but I do know that there is a report on Sportsnet today saying that there was a problem. Apparently, now that Fred's gone and we can be a little bit more open about the issues with the Raptors last year, that was a divide on our team. And it's too bad. It's absolutely too bad. There's no point in that. You waste time and just respect your elders, youngsters. Seriously. They gone through it a little bit more than you, and they can really help you. This is the thing. This is for your benefit. It's not an ego thing. It's not like, oh, be so arrogant. I don't have to learn anything. These people can help you make more money, be more famous, excel, and win more games. So why are you so stupid that you wouldn't listen to an old head that can show you the way? That's a big problem for me. In some ways, that shows a limitation of being able to learn. Because listen, I don't care what old age you are. My age, 30 years older than me, 30 years younger than me, you need to be able to learn at any time in your life and to get better as a person. And if you don't have that capacity already in your early 20s, well, I don't want you on my basketball team. That's just the damn truth about it. That is just the damn truth about it because you have no ability to develop and expand to get to higher levels of play because you're ignorant to it, because you're too good or you know too better for yourself. I mean, I don't totally think this is Scott because I know his personality profile from he does want to learn and he is good at learning, but something weird happened in some way. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's an ego thing and maybe it was kind of like you rubbed me the wrong way, Fred, with how you went about it and I'm just going to shut you out. Well, then the coach needs to fix that. The coach very much needs to get him in. The coach didn't do nothing about it. Well, then there's nothing we can do. Scotty has started his basketball in the LA Fitness as a child with older men. I'm sure he listened to those guys then. Nobodies that are in an LA Fitness. He's running 5-on-5s to stay on the court. So, Scott, just keep doing that. If you are somebody who's not listening to older players, please stop that. Please stop that right now and start listening to them. Thaddeus Young has things to say to you. Pascal Siakam has things to say to you. You need to listen to them because they have much more time served, much more accomplishments, and they need to be listened to. I'm sorry. That's just how it is, youngsters in this league. We can look at Ja Morant's situation. If he listened to old players a little bit more, maybe he wouldn't be in the mess he's in right now. So, all right, just a little rant on this, and it's very fresh in my brain. I just read about this stuff about 15 minutes ago. So Dana's saying, good morning, everyone. Did everyone see the new flopping rule? Sorry, Joel, you will have to play 40 minutes without flopping. I love it. This is the Joel rule. I mean, they really did kind of make this rule for Joel specifically. Maybe they heard me warning everybody that Joel will fall and he'll hurt somebody, like he hurt Danny Green. At that one point, at the end of their season, He's going to hurt people. He'll hurt himself. He'll hurt other teammates. He'll hurt other people on the other team from just falling around in very dangerous ways. He's a very tall guy and he's heavy and he can hurt people. We saw how he hurt Scott. So this is specifically a rule for Joel and other floppers that are notorious. And it's going to be fun. They're going to be testing it out in the summer league this week. They already have been. And it's very interesting. I want to see how many times he gets called for this, or maybe if he even just stops flopping. If he doesn't flop as much this year, it'll be a true sign that he was really using it as a weapon. That, oh, you can play without falling over on yourself. Wow, that's really good. You got balance all of a sudden. You don't fall everywhere like you did last year. How did you do that, Joel? Did you get some new insoles in your shoe? I don't know how he's not falling over. Oh, it's a free throw, and Nick's going to get mad at you if you flop now. Okay, that makes sense. There you go. I get it now. Yeah, it'll be real interesting, Dana. Good to see you this morning. Canadian Dana. I am Canadian. That's right. Trevor J saying, good morning, Raptors family. Show a little kindness to someone today because you never know what that someone is going through. Yes. Yes, Trevor, a great wise word for sure. There's so much going on with people that we don't even realize. It could very well be the biggest thorn in your side in your day is going through some very painful things and you have no idea. A coworker, somebody you just come across in your everyday travels in your sphere of the world. Sometimes you'd be surprised if you reach out to somebody with just a little bit of positivity, just how much it means to them, especially if there's somebody who seems so ornery and just mad and toxic and horrible. They need it the most. In fact, they're the ones, if you could have the biggest turnaround just by showing a little empathy and sensitivity to them, it goes a long way. We're human beings. We need to start treating each other like human beings and stop treating each other like adversaries, competitors, people that we are in our way for what we want. That's not what this is. The world has trained us to think this way. And it's the biggest fallacy and the most fucked up thing in the world. We're all interconnected. And we're all really, in some ways, one big, large organism all together on this planet. And when we hurt other people, we hurt ourselves. So thank you, Trevor, with your words there. So the Toronto Raptors get another center, Moses Brown, another 7-2 center. So we'll have 3 centers now. I'm excited about that. All right, Trevor's brought up the Summer League roster. So let's go there right now, guys. We got our Summer League roster yesterday, finally 16 players on the list. No Koloko, which is quite interesting. So no center with Koloko. They're saying he has a respiratory problem right now, and he's sitting. He will be at Summer League, participating in activities and sitting on the sidelines, but he will not play at Summer League. Christian Koloko getting over a respiratory problem. And also Jeffrey Doughton Jr., he will be present also and around, but he is still recovering from the ankle surgery he had in May. So he's been around in Toronto rehabbing for that. And he will be very much at the Summer League, but not participating and also just kind of taking it in. Meanwhile, Raptors from last year that are definitely on the roster, Joe Wieskamp, Ron Harper Jr., both playing in this, and also our first round pick, number 13, Grady Dick, of course, will be there, and our undrafted two-way Marquise Noel. So then we've got, this is a crazy thing because on our channel, we talked about this guy for a lot, since I started this channel, this guy has come up from time to time. 7'2" UCLA center, Moses Brown. Moses Brown was on Dallas. He was on Clippers. He's been jumping all over the place. And well, Raptors fans have been very interested in Moses Brown for quite a while. He's always kind of been a buzz around places in Raptors fan places. And now we've landed him. In fact, NBA Chev made a piece yesterday, very happy that Moses Brown is finally in our fold. Now let's temper our expectations with this, Raptors fans. Just because Moses Brown's on our Summer League team doesn't mean he's going to get anywhere with us. It may very well be he's only on our Summer League and that's it. The path for him to make our team is very, very difficult. We've got a lot of people already set up in all of our positions. He'd have to do exceptionally well in the Summer League to get the invite to come to training camp and then have to battle through that part. So we'll see. I won't count him out completely because there are some things that Moses Brown does in a per 36 minutes kind of thing that are absolutely insane. Like he has very, very good stats and efficiency for short periods of time. So it may very well be he's very attractive to have around. but we'll have to see. It's cool that he is going to finally rock a Raptors jersey in summer league, though. That is very, very cool, and a lot of Raptors fans are very excited about it. That's for sure. So yeah, Moses Brown's one of the centers, and then we got a couple other ones. We got David McCormick, who we knew about before. He's from Kansas. I believe he's in that Grady Dick Open Gym episode that dropped last night. He may have a very close connection with Grady. It could very well be that David McCormick is kind of like a Kansas Jayhawk bodyguard that's lurking around for Grady Dick because they're both from that school. And, somebody messing with Grady on the court. Well, there's David McCormick, 6'10", 250 pounds of him, to be a little bit of an enforcer around the summer league team. And I swear I saw him in the Grady Dick Open Gym episode last night. A very, very cool 11-minute Open Gym episode, Grady Dick's, the second episode of the new season. Very, very cool. You see some really cool stuff. There's a story in it where Grady talks about how this is so funny. Great. All right. They did a whole thing where he goes to his hotel room in Toronto and they have a whole bunch of gifts laid out for him. They have the Raptor swag for him, hats and stuff for him to wear. And then they have like candy. They had the Smarties and, different stuff that you can only get up here in Canada. And he's eating them and he's like, oh, Smarties. He's like, what are these? And he bites into it. And he realizes it's chocolate and he spits it out. So I'm figuring that Grady is on a no dairy diet or a no chocolate diet, at least, maybe no sweets. But yeah, very interesting to see Grady bite into a Smartie. It's good. And then spit it out, y'all. That was interesting. And then they had some like Hudson's Bay, like pillows and blankets on the chair. And Grady said this is hilarious. He said, oh, these are pillows I can actually take home. And they're like, what do you mean by that, Grady? And his mom steps in and says, well, Grady was at a hotel on a trip once, and he really liked the pillows at the hotel room, and he thought that I would like them. So he thought that they would match like my house and what I would do with my bed. And he thought they were so soft and stuff that he took the pillows from the hotel room at that time and brought them home for his mom. And he's just saying like, yeah, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to do that. And he showed up at the house with these pillows, and his dad had a cow, I think. Not that he had a cow, but he said, Grady, you can't do this. We're a good Christian family. You just stole those pillows from that hotel and you're gonna have to mail them back. So his dad, Bart, made him mail the pillows back to the hotel because he took them because he wanted to give them to his mom. That's hilarious to me. So he's like saying these ones, I can take these pillows. I know I can at this point. That's pretty funny stuff. And once again, that kind of really shows something cool about Grady's personality, that he wants to do something nice for his mom. He knows her very, very well. And he was going to take hotel pillows like that. Who doesn't know that you're not supposed to take the pillows like that? I understand the robes or maybe the towels, but taking the pillows, Grady, come on, man. I got to understand, how did he carry them out? Are you going through the lobby with them under your arms, or did you sneak out the back door? Hilarious stuff right there. Oh my gosh. All right, let's keep going with the comments. Trevor J saying also the WNBA team in Chicago is mad with their head coach leaving and going to the Raptors. Some people are and some people aren't. I went and investigated this situation a little bit further. Some WNBA people are very angry about this, yes. But the franchise isn't as angry as everybody else is. I really went and investigated this. Some of the players are a little shook by it. They're a little bit shook by it. Now, the weird thing is, I went and looked at what was happening with this guy around what happened, and they're winning. They started winning after he left. So they've won their last couple games. They're on a win streak right now, and they weren't winning before. They had lost 6 games in a row this season in the WNBA already. And, in some ways, look, they decided this. James Wade, all right, he's been the coach and GM of the Chicago Sky for 6 years now. And he's won a championship. He's been the coach of the year for the WNBA. And he's done pretty much everything he wanted to do there. Well, the opportunity to come and be an assistant coach with us, I don't know what the pay change is part of his dream to make the NBA as a coach also. Now, a lot of people are saying this really sends a wrong message as far as like the lateral move. It's not really a lateral move. He's going to assistant coach. He was a GM. And this proves that Michael Grange is an idiot, because when he posted the coaching staff He said there's no ex-head coaches on this team underneath Darko. That's bullshit. James Wade is an ex-head coach because he head coached the Chicago Sky. And not only that, he's the GM of the Chicago Sky. So that does spell in that category, Grange, when you say we don't have any former head coaches on our team. It's not an NBA team, but it is a WNBA team. And I'm pretty sure that James Wade will be our lead assistant, kind of like Adrian Griffin under Nick Nurse, so that if Darko gets thrown out of games, James Wade will step up and be our head coach. That would make the most sense. Now, Sampson had some confusion with his tweets yesterday saying the lead assistant coach is James Wade. But then when he announced the Summer League roster, he tried to say that the lead assistant coach is Pat Delaney, who is actually going to be coaching the Summer League team this summer. I don't believe that. I don't think Pat Delaney is actually the lead assistant coach. I think it is James Wade. And Sampson's just being a little confusing with his tweets because he did put it down twice. Who is it, Sampson Folk? Who's the lead assistant coach for the Raptors this year? Is it James Wade or is it Pat Delaney? Usually, the Summer League coach is not the lead assistant coach. I will put it that way. Trevor Gleason was our Summer League coach last year, and he was not the lead assistant coach for the Raptors last year. That was Adrian Griffin. So I'm going to guess Pat Delaney is just running the Summer League. He's not the lead assistant coach, and James Wade is. So the thing about him leaving the WNBA, a lot of the people at the WNBA don't have a problem. There's a Turkish guy that just stepped into James Wade's spot. He was his assistant coach, and he's now the GM also. But they're saying that in Chicago, they're going to have to get two people to fill those two roles, and that it's not fair for this new guy to do both of them at this point. So fully expect them to hire a new GM and maybe keep this guy still as their coach. Now, in some ways, maybe they did leave him in a lurch a little bit, James Wade. But, I think they had an arrangement all along that if something comes up, that they want to see him succeed. In some ways, this is prestigious. In some ways, I get it. Some people think this is a downgrade or something that says something bad about the WNBA. But I don't believe that. I mean, he's going to bring more attention to y'all either way. So I don't know. I want to tread lightly on this. I do get that the move optically looks really bad, and why some people are upset about it from the WNBA side. I don't know how to deal with this. The Raptors wanted this dude. This dude wanted to come. It's a free world. It's a free country. Can people do what they want to do still in the free world? That's what I'll say about this. And if he didn't really do anything wrong, well, people can condemn him and judge him. But honestly, he didn't break any laws and he didn't really hurt anyone. Seriously. So let's kind of check ourselves on this. James Wade has an amazing story on the Players Tribune that Monique shared with us in the chat yesterday about him dealing with racism in his life, about dealing with it on playing with the WNBA team as a coach, and just different times in his life. Very poignant speech. If you want to learn more about James Wade, check out his Players Tribune piece on him dealing with racism in his life. Very powerful, poignant stuff that is important for everyone to read so they can fully understand some of the ways that racism happens in life, in everyday situations. So I highly recommend that for sure. All right, let's keep going. Trevor's saying we have a very powerful roster in Vegas for the Raptors team. I think we can win it all. I think so too. I hope so. I mean, everybody's talking all so crazy about Oklahoma City, and they should. The way they get draft picks and the way they have an all-star kind of young kind of team, Chet Holmgren back, showing some good stuff so far since he's been back. He put on 10 pounds since last summer. And that's interesting. Maybe they did lock him in the Mandarin for 3 hours and may say, you got to eat. And some people are saying, I go to a cookout on July the 4th and I gained 10 pounds, like nothing. I mean, Chet, why weren't you at Coney Island yesterday with Joey Chestnut? You see those guys, they put down like 60 hot dogs. That's like 22 pounds of food. So maybe you should get into competitive eating in the off season and maybe you'll bulk up faster that way. I mean, Joey Chestnut put on 22 pounds just yesterday in like 10 minutes. So maybe you could get with him. He could help you with the weight. He could really help you with the weight. Joey Chestnut. Yeah. I'm a Kobayashi guy. Yeah, he got banned. Kobayashi's my dude, man. If Kobayashi was there, he'd be kicking Joey Chestnut's butt. Yeah, we know he got banned. They don't want the Japanese guy to win on the 4th of July. So there's like, you can't be here, Kobayashi, taking all these hot dog eating championships. No, you can't. All right. Enough about that. All right, let's see where I'm at. I'm after Trevor J at the start. Nameless is saying, "Ciao, mia familia, Raptor freak. Come stano tutti stamattina." Hi, my Raptor Streak family. How's everyone doing this morning? Good morning to you, Nameless. Buongiorno. I am Trey Bella. Trey Bella, very beautiful. I think that's what I said. I'm very beautiful. I don't know, but good to see you, Nameless. Cowboy saying, "Good morning, Lex." Bam. And Raptor Freaks, let's go. Moses looks like the Raptors are staying with the 6'9" and above players. Let's go. It's not even just him. Seriously, Cowboy. We get Jalen McDaniels this weekend and add him on. It's like, that's more of what we got. And then I look at some of these dudes on this roster for summer league, and I'm like, this Gayer guy, man, Mohamedou Gaye, 6'9", 210, out of Pittsburgh. He was kind of in the G League last year. This dude is something else. He's been compared to Chris Boucher in some ways, guys, with his wingspan and stuff like that. There's a few guys on this roster for the summer league that are definitely Vision 6'9". And it'll be very, very interesting to see them out there. I'm very happy to see 905's Daryl Morsell on the summer league roster. He was a great, strong guard for us on the 905 team last year. And I'm glad to see him get the invite extended to come and be on our summer league team this summer. That's fantastic stuff. There's the kid Moses Wright, the other Moses. He's another 6'9" vision kind of guy out of Georgia Tech. He's got 1 year experience in the NBA. And then, there's guys like Obanor, who's on our Exhibit 10 out of Texas Tech. He's kind of a 6'9" vision guy. There's quite a few of them. There was a confusion about the Nebhard that's on the team. It was not Andrew's brother. It is RJ Nebhard, who is actually on the team. And he is not Canadian. He's not one of the Nebhard brothers from Ontario. He is an American guy who played for the Cavs 2 years ago. You may remember him. He had a very high flat top, and he was a guard that ran around for the Cavaliers a couple years ago. Well, he went overseas last year, and now he's trying to return back to the NBA, and he is on our summer league roster this summer. RJ. It's RJ Nembhard. And that was confusion. When we saw the name Nembhard yesterday, we're like, is that the little brother of the Pacer? And it's like, no, it's not. It's a whole other different guy. And that's what we're dealing with. David Johnson on the summer league roster, our second round pick after Delano Banton a couple of years ago. It's crazy. Somebody said David Johnson lasting on the Raptors longer than Delano. That is crazy. Who would have called that? And David's still plugging in there. Listen, I didn't realize David's so young. He came to our team when he was 19. See, this is a weird thing. David Johnson out of Louisville really carries himself older than he is. And I thought he was all older than this. But no, he's one of the younger guys on this summer league roster. Grady Dick, the only one younger than him. And that's crazy because David Johnson was a rookie in the NBA 2 years ago. So, yeah, good to see David Johnson still hanging around. You still got some chances, David. You need to take that brass ring and really show what you can do and get to another level and help the Raptors. They haven't given up on you. It's time for you to shine, David Johnson. Start hitting those threes, making some buzzer beaters to win like you do at 905. Maybe you'll carve a path to finally make the Raptors for real. So, yeah, just a couple of summer league players going over them right now in different places. Let's see what else y'all are saying. Name was saying David Johnson back with the Raptors on the summer league roster could be a very, very subtly impactful addition. That's a great opinion, Nameless. He's a great shooter, and he does have a bit of a slasher to him. The way he attacks the rim, there were some nasty dunks he would throw down every once in a while. So I don't know. We'll have to see. David, I wish you well. You're a very smart young man, and just keep going. Who knows what could happen in summer league? Let's see David do some good stuff. It's going to be tough, though, because there's a lot of guys that are going to be filling that shooter role, and he may have to be more in between with slashing and shooting with Grady and Joe Wieskamp and JT Shamonte. A lot of sharpshooters on this team already, but I'm sure David Johnson will find his threes also. Iceman like Gervin's here. Good to see the minutes, please. Raptors should sign Bol Bol. He was just waived by Orlando. He would be a nice fit on the Toronto roster. I'm not against that. I like Bol Bol. I love his father. He's such an amazing player, somebody that I was very much a big fan of when I was a kid. I wouldn't be upset about this. In some ways, the Magic cut him because they had to make another spot open for some of the new additions they had, and they got rid of him. Well, he's going to be very cheap. Anybody can go get him. for around 2 million. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if he's in the plans. Don't hold your breath, though, Iceman. In some ways, he's a hot commodity, and I could see another team being more of what he's interested in doing and him going somewhere. Like the Lakers, there's a little bit of murmurs that the Lakers are going to try and get him. And instead of having Mo Bamba this year, since they let him go, they'll have Bol Bol instead. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure how this will go down. I wouldn't mind him. He's definitely on my list, the green light. If he was on our team, I'd be very happy. But I don't know if it's very likely. I don't think it is. Cowboys saying, I agree, Iceman. That would be perfect. It's partly because of our situation with what we've done already with the free agency and who we've signed and what we have left. And then it's partly, the demand for Bol Bol may be very high, and there may be a little bit of a bidding war to get him. We'll have to see. Maybe nobody does want him, and he can be had for very little. We'll have to see. Mike's here. Good to see Logical Raptors fanatic. Salute the real ones. Project Truth always. Mike, thank you for being here. Thank you once again, for fantastic work on the CBA. I always seem to watch your content on Tuesdays, so I'm like, yeah, all right, Mike. Really explaining in simple terms some of the stuff that's in the CBA this year. Fantastic stuff, Mike. Keep going. The more you make it easier for us common folk to read the CBA and understand exactly what all the rules are in that 600-page document, it is a public service that you're doing, honestly. Okay, he's saying, okay, I was wrong on things. And interesting, it seems like the accountability was an issue for the younger guys and attention to detail was needing to get more serious. Yeah, that's what I started off talking about this morning. I'm going to always side with the experience and the vets. I'm sorry. It's not braggadocio and promise and young, youthful exuberance does not beat experience. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And people, I watched Van Hoot and Samson Folk the other day, and they're talking about how the best players are not the old guys, they're the young guys, and that people need to recognize that. Okay, but just because you're the most talented and you're the best players doesn't mean you don't need direction. You don't need guidance. You don't need somebody to kind of tell you, well, don't do that because that's not helpful. Don't look back when you're about to dunk it. That's not helpful. That is actually very fundamentally dangerous. And you're tempting fire, playing with fire when you do that. You look back, Scott, you can do it and you'll get away with it for a while, but there's going to be a time when you do it and it's not smart because there's going to be somebody who catches you because the NBA catches up. So in some ways, that would be something that I would be pissed off as of a teammate is with Scott doing that, where he would look back when he's just about to dunk it. That is really, really not a good trait to do. It's not fundamentally good and it's not smart. It's just not a smart play. So that I don't know if that's an example of something they're like, Scott, don't do that anymore. Don't do your little turnaround look move anymore. You could do that in middle school. You can do that in high school when you're playing against people that you're way above. But these guys are as equal as you, or maybe even better, some of them. And you cannot afford to do that. That will sacrifice winning or something stupid happen from that. Some of this is why are we so bad at finishing in transition? Why are we so bad at not executing with advantage, man advantage? We'll have like a 3-on-2 break and we don't finish. Maybe that's part of the problem too. The fundamentals weren't listened to or worked with, and we just were not good in certain areas that we should have been way better at. And that older players like Fred were saying, we could do this better. I know how we could do this better. We just did this. And other people were like not having it. They didn't want to hear it. Once again, even though Fred's not on our team anymore, if this was the issue, I'm on Fred's side. And he's right. These youngsters got to take the game more seriously and be more professional and listen to their old head vets. I don't care what team it is, especially our team, though. This is especially our team. Monique is here. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy with the coaching staff. I'm very happy with it too, Monique. It's so nice to actually finally see it all. Let's go ahead and talk about the new names that were added. Of course, it's head coach Darko Rajakovic. His lead assistant, I'm speculating, is James Wade, formerly of the Chicago Sky as GM and head coach. Then Jama Lalea and Pat Delaney are going to be his lead front guys with him on the front of the bench. So basically, those four will be sitting on the front of the bench, Jama, Pat, and James with Darko. And then you've got the bench behind, and these guys are going to be Jim Sand, Mike the Bulldozer Batiste, Ivo Simovic, Vin Bavnani, and Drew Jones. Drew Jones, the new name added on yesterday that we hadn't seen as far as the coaches. Drew is a former player. He's most recently been with Casey in Detroit. He also has experience coaching under Doc Rivers in Philadelphia. He came to Philadelphia after we beat them in 2019. He coached under Doc Rivers in the year after that, Drew Jones. And he's also has experience with Oklahoma City Thunder. So there's a little background on Drew Jones. And then we have hired a video coordinator and a player development guy. And the video coordinator is Noah Lewis. He actually entered our team through the Wayne Embry Scholarship Foundation. Our program actually has got a guy on our coaching staff from that program. The Wayne Embry program has found this guy. He was on 905 last year with Eric Curry as an assistant coach. Well, now he's a video coordinator for Darko on the main team. Noah Lewis, an in-house product found by Wayne Embry Scholarship Foundation. So fantastic. And then we got Rashawn Broadus as a player development coach on the second bench also. And he has been somebody, as Monique told me yesterday, he has worked extensively with the Ball family, LaMelo, and all those guys. And he's a former player. He's someone who just played not too long ago. So even though we don't have any big former player names on our roster that from the NBA that are flashy, or somebody would be like Vin Baker or something like that, we've got former players on our coaching staff that have interesting experience from other places. Now, I'm a little worried if we talk about what I just talked about with the youngsters not wanting to listen to old heads. Well, I want them to very much respect their coaches. Just because Mike Batiste is not a big NBA player, you need to listen to Mike Batiste, Raptors, because this guy is a 9-time champion in Greece, and he is in the Greece Basketball Hall of Fame. And he is a huge, huge resume as far as like internationally in Greece. So even though Bulldozer Batiste did not make it in the NBA, he made it huge over in Greece. And I'm sure he has all kinds of experience and stories to talk about. I mean, Wade, another guy, James Wade, huge stuff overseas. He's French himself. He speaks French. He's very European himself. The same thing with Rashawn Broadus. He had a career overseas and he played a lot over there. So he's another one. Jama was a former player who played overseas also. So it's a lot of these guys on our coaching staff may not have direct NBA experience playing, but they have a lot of professional experience playing basketball. It's just in other places. Drew Jones is another one. So it's going to be interesting. There's no former head coaches, but there is James Wade. There's no former NBA players really, but there is former professional players and quite a few of them. I want this coaching staff to be very, very successful. But in some ways, there's no names on this. It's a very no-name kind of list of coaches. And some Raptor fans are not very they're underwhelmed by it because they feel like, well, why should I get excited about all these people? I have no idea who they are, and I have no idea if they're going to be any good. So we got to give them a chance and let them do what they do. I think James Wade's going to impress people. I know Darko will for sure. And then the other people on the staff may rise up and we may get to know them more as personalities. Obviously, that after halftime interview will be the chance for us to really get to know the men on this list. So hopefully we'll see what happens with them. Cowboys got smashed the like button. Thank you, Cowboy. I appreciate that. Denal saying the answer is Kyle Lowry. You say we go get Kyle Lowry. Well, he's somebody they will respect. Yeah, he's somebody you're going to listen to Kyle Lowry if he's telling you, maybe you didn't listen to Fred, Scott, but you will listen to Kyle. I know you would if he showed up. That's the thing. Maybe it is the answer. I wouldn't be upset if Kyle Lowry returned to us this year. There's a chance it could still happen, very much still. MSJ's here. Hello, everyone. So watching some rap stuff with the draft, and Barnes was in on the draft pick. He is so much the centerpiece of the team, and the Dick section was made to pair with him. The Dick selection. Yeah, the Grady selection. Great pick. Yeah, that was really nice to see in the open gym with Grady last night. That in the war room, Scotty Barnes enters the war room and sits there with Darko, Masai, Bobby, Teresa Resch, Dan Tolzman. They're all in there. And when they made the pick, Scotty was involved in it. He was very much sitting in the Raptors trading war room when they made the selection. And that tells you a lot right there. That means that he is involved in all this and that he is very much a franchise face of the Toronto Raptors. So, it shows that they care about what he has to say and his input. And that's very important. I'm sure that he was very thrilled that we drafted Grady, them being from the same same management group. So he has connections with him, and he wants a new shooter. I know that when he would play 2K last year, he was very interested in finding different roles to run with in the 2K game, and he was all about different styles of play. Like you said, what would you play? Are you big man? Are you a 3-point shooter? Are you a 3 and D? Are you what are you? What is your build in your 2K game? So maybe Scotty in real life, he looks at Grady's build like he would in a 2K game. He's like, I can get with this on the court and let's do something. Let's make this work because you got that shooting that I want to see. Samson Folk breaks it down a lot of different ways with Scotty. In fact, he's saying that he's going to do like a very intense study this summer of every single time Scotty is initiating the offense and what his proclivities are. And in some ways, he thinks that the energy and the synergy between Grady and Scotty is going to be very special because their skills kind of really interlock really well in a natural way that it could really benefit them. Seriously. And it may be something weird like this, guys. I'm going to predict that Grady's going to score a lot and Scotty's going to get a lot of assists. That it's going to be that kind of a relationship with them. It may not be Scott that's getting all the buckets. It may be him setting up Grady like crazy and Grady averaging like 15 to 20 points just because Scott is specifically hitting him and setting him up a lot. So we could see that develop into that kind of situation. Monique's saying Grady's open gyms is too short, but it's summer, always great though. Yeah, I agree, Monique. It was a little short, but just exactly what we needed. Fantastic stuff from Open Gym as usual. A great introductory episode for our new rookie, Grady Dick. Love seeing him coming to Toronto. And you could tell he was got very sentimental when he saw his face on the Scotiabank Arena and the big screen. And then the fans coming up to him and taking pictures with him. That's all really special. And in some ways, he's like, I'm not in Kansas anymore. Pinch me. Am I living a dream? You could tell he is really, really enthusiastically thrilled to be in the NBA and to be on the Raptors. So I really like that. I really do. Wayne's here. Good to see Wayne Strainer. Tension at work. What's new? The overall environment is the responsibility of front office and coaching staff. It's no secret there's a generational divide from Oakley days and the Iverson cohort. Yeah. I mean, there's been differences between generations in the NBA over time. It's always been somewhat of a bit of a problem, but it seems like it's more than ever. And the difference is, Wayne, and this is what I think it is the teams in the league are not siding with the vets anymore. It's like the vets are an endangered species. There's very, very few older vets like Thad Young around the league. To survive in the league like Thad has is a huge accomplishment because vets are getting weeded out earlier and earlier in their career. There's not as many 10-year vets in the NBA today as there were 10 years ago. And that is part of what it is the younger people have more power because it seemingly is. The teams are giving the young players more power over the old heads. And that's part of the reason why they're not respecting them anymore. They don't see them having any more power anymore. They're the old generation, just go away and retire kind of stuff. And in some ways, that's awful because you should honor your elders and really understand that you can learn from them. There's a reason why the Miami Heat kept Udonis Haslem around for as long as they did till this year. And it was very, very fruitful and important part of the team. Well, him retiring this year signifies something in what I'm just talking about, that it may be that the power structure in the NBA is with the young guys and they just don't respect the old guys. Well, the league's in trouble then. The league is in trouble. I'm sorry. We got to get used to shitty play and bad quality of the games. If this is going to continue like this, you got to learn how to play the game the right way. This is something that has always been said in the NBA since I've been watching it. They said this shit probably in the 60s too. The young guys learn from the older guys how to play the game the right way. And that's not getting passed down correctly at this point anymore. And it's maybe a little bit selfishness from the old guys that don't want to teach the young guys, because there was always a bit of that also. And also the young guys just being arrogant and not hearing it from the old guys. So it's a bad divide. It's a really bad divide for the whole entire league, and specifically for us, where we care about the Raptors. I don't like this. Iceman like Urban saying Raptors Summer League roster: Moses Brown, Moses Wright, and RJ Nembhard, David Johnson, Mamadou Gaye, Daryl Morsell. Yeah, yeah. There's some good, exciting names on there. I want to see how they can get the chemistry together. I want to see Pat Delaney coaching this team. Pat Delaney from his years of coaching under Steve Clifford. We're going to see him get his personality out there and leading this team, of course, under the direction and guidance of what Darko wants him to do with them. Of course, all the other assistant coaches, including the 905 coaches, will be at Summer League supporting Pat Delaney as assistants, and Darko will be sitting to the side watching it all himself, just an observer. That's the way Summer League usually goes. And of course, our first game will be on Friday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time against the Chicago Bulls. So be ready for Raptors basketball in 2 days. So we'll do a think tank tomorrow, and then I'll have a preview, just like I do during the regular season, for this first Summer League game, Toronto Raptors, Chicago Bulls, Summer League, Vegas, baby. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. That's right. I'm so excited to watch some Raptors basketball, baby. Yeah. See some Grady Dick out there. Marquise Noel. Let's go. Let's go. Mike saying, sounds like a growing pains issue, though. It's a classic issue everywhere in life. Everyone thinks they're so unique that the advice isn't valuable based on being different. Not gonna lie, people have more in common. Yeah. Yeah, for real. Seriously. I just wish that the bonds could have been made and not so difficult. Like I said, there's a lot of very different things about their personalities and where they come from to get to the league between Scott and Fred. And in some ways, they had a hard time finding common ground, finding what they have in common. And I said it before. Fred had to work so hard to get to where he was. And it's not that Scott didn't work hard. It's just that some things were laid out a little more easier for him. And that is part of the difference in some ways in their approach and how they have to do it. Michael Jordan couldn't coach the Wizards because they pissed him off. They didn't go to the highest standard that he wanted them to do. It's a similar situation. It's the same damn thing. In some ways, Michael Jordan is such an extreme person that he demands the same kind of excellence that he carries himself with and the people on his team, his teammates. You can talk to the old Bulls about how he was and his demands and his expectations for his teammates and how they were going to play around him. They were scared of him. And they very much tried their damn best because they knew they'd have to deal with his wrath if they did not succeed at being at that level that Jordan expected. And well, when he became a coach and he saw just how bad it was with them at that time, he couldn't do it anymore. Some people just have high quality level that they like to have things, and some people don't. We were talking about it yesterday, Adrienne and I. We have different levels of how we want to keep our house clean. Well, somebody may come into your house and be like, "This is filthy in here," and you'd be like, "No, it's not that bad. I tidied up. It looks good." Everybody has different levels of what they see and perceive of what it should be. And that's part of the problem is the levels weren't exactly lining up in certain ways. And then you get to places of control. Well, Fred's the captain. He's trying to get these guys to a kick in the butt to go out there and do better. Well, he's trying to do his job. And if it went the wrong way, his style rubbed the people the wrong way and it didn't go over well, that's a problem in some ways. And that's when somebody needs to step in as far as a coach, as far as a management. That is exactly right. So I agree with Wayne on that one. Yeah, so it is what it is. David's here. Good to see David Saborin. This flopping rule has been around for a while. They just don't call it, especially on the players who it applies to the most. Well, I don't know if it's totally been around. I don't know. I don't think that's true because they would have been enforcing it already. If it's a rule in the rule book, the referees really must take it seriously because if they don't, they get in trouble. No, I think this is a new rule, David, because they would have called it like crazy last year. If not, I don't think this is totally a rule that's been around for a while. It may be a different form of it was around, but not like this where they actually get a technical. That's the new part of it. Is like maybe they can call a foul on them as far as an offensive foul for flopping, but they never called like a technical and then they get the ball back like they're going to do this year. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam. Summer League in 2 days. Let's go. Saw a clip of Fred training with Jalen Green. I wonder if he'll be more visible media-wise, not now that he'll play for a team in the U.S. Oh, for sure. They've already started that campaign of trying to celebrate him like crazy down there. He may become more of a national face for the NBA as far as in their advertising. He could very well be the face of the franchise for the Rockets for the next couple of years, especially with that bag. I mean, they sometimes do that with the money. So who is getting paid the most? Well, let's make him the person. I don't know. We'll have to see how it all goes. It is what it is. I like that clip, seeing him trying to huff and puff up the hill after Jalen. In some ways, the comment section wasn't very kind to him. They're saying things like, look, that's the difference between an athlete and a non-athlete, stuff like that. It's too bad, but yeah, Fred, you just do your thing. I'll probably stop following most of the stuff Fred's in because it's painful in some ways. And in a lot of ways, it's useless for me to keep up with. It's not like I need to report to you what Fred's been doing anymore as a Raptor. He's a Rocket now. And so his Instagram is not going to be part of what I report anymore very soon. I'm doing it for right now in the transitionary period, but at some point, I probably won't be talking about Fred very much. Name was saying, Iceman, you were the man, bro. Yeah, Iceman, thank you for all the updates during the day yesterday, sending comments and putting them down there, making sure I know what's going on. I really do appreciate you guys. Let me know, keeping me in touch with things. They're doing it on the comments too. So as long as I have a net that's catching everything all at once, Paul B finding the summer league roster for me first thing yesterday. As soon as it came out, he dropped it on us. And I'm like, man, thank you guys for having eyes and ears out there for me also, and Monique also, to get the information so we don't miss anything. I know Monique's out there scouring all the time. Iceman scouring too. We're going to find it. If there's something to do with the Raptors, we'll find it. Cece's here. Good to see Cece, a great Raptor freak. Cece always watching, not always commenting. We're always happy when Cece steps up and says something too. I saw a clip caught on camera back on Delano's first year when the guys asked where the rookie kitty backpack was, and Delano says, I'm not doing that. I'm shaking my head thinking not good. This reflects team respect. Yeah, that's part of it. That's kind of why they do this, is because they need them to be kind of humbled a little bit. They come in with like, you're the hottest thing since like sliced bread, in high school. You're amazing. Everybody's like lauding them with compliments and like, oh, we love you. People want something from them because they want to be on their entourage or something. They'll really like go overboard, like saying all these nice things, and they don't hear enough criticism. There may be not enough people in their lives. Maybe their trainer is critical, maybe some of their coaches, but for most part, everybody's a yes man. And everybody's kind of like going with them. And you're like, woo, can we make you happy, Scotty? Can we make you happy, Delano? And well, when they show up to the league, part of the reason they do rookie hazing, I shouldn't call it hazing, or rookie rituals, is that they need to show them there's a pecking order. They need to show them that you're coming in at the bottom, even if you're like a number one pick or a high lottery guy, that, you need a little humbling. And that's part of what it is when they make them carry the Dora the Explorer backpacks or sing happy birthday on karaoke at some point during the season. That's not even that bad. Back in the day, the rookie rituals were much more nefarious and awful and like really bad. Like they would make them do all kinds of crazy stuff. I've heard stories where rookies used to have to go and run and get people's orange juice and like stuff like that from the winning time thing, where Magic Johnson, this is Irvin Johnson showing up into the league, and he has to help out Kareem. Kareem is the captain. He's the big boss. He's the badass. He's the one who's won a championship. He's been around already. And Magic is the rookie. Well, Magic had to go and get Kareem's orange juice and his newspaper every single morning at a very early time in the morning. And Kareem would take the orange juice, taste it, and he'd be like, this is gross, and dump it out right in front of him and humiliate him over and over again. This is Magic Johnson, who was the player of the year, who had won at Michigan State, who was like just an amazing person already. And he realized this is just part of the fraternity of the NBA and how it goes. Well, these young guys want to reject that. Magic did that in 1980, but guys today can't just wear a backpack. Magic got up every single day and gave Kareem his breakfast and his freshly squeezed orange juice. And these motherfuckers can't carry a backpack? That's what I'm saying. This league's getting soft. They have no idea what their predecessors used to have to do, and they're getting off lightly in certain ways. If anybody refused to carry that backpack and said no, that's an open air of defiance towards our captains and our veterans on our team that asked them to do that. And our guys, maybe they weren't strong enough. Maybe Fred and Pascal were too nice. Maybe they're just not that kind of guy. And Fred maybe was like, in some ways, I don't want to cause these guys not to like me. And then Pascal's like, it's not in my personality to go tell these guys they need to be carrying this backpack. And that may have been the problem right there. We needed a vet. Like maybe Kyle would have done it. If Kyle had still been here when Scotty and them showed up, Kyle would have been like, y'all need to be carrying those backpacks. Y'all know that, right? And they're like, yes, Kyle, we will. but maybe they didn't respect Fred and Pascal as leaders, because in some ways Pascal's a sheepish leader, and Fred, maybe they didn't respect him just in general, partly because of his story, his stature, and maybe that, Fred was trying to be nice about it, but maybe it's like, you know what, whatever, guys, you don't want to do it, fine. I'm not going to even make you guys do it. These are issues, seriously. In some ways, you want to be a part of the NBA, you want to be a part of it correctly, you need to go through the rigors of it. And it's nothing like it used to be, like Irvin Johnson went through. So, yeah, you tell me. This is crazy. These young players are soft. They have no idea what it used to be like. And in some ways, those ways of doing things is to ensconce a structure of power. So it's like, these are my bets. Kareem is in charge. He is in charge. If he tells me to do something, I better fucking listen to him. And that's going out the window because there's no respect for that at this point. And that CC's comment reflects that. Seriously. I hate to hear that about Delano. Delano, if you're casual about things, well, then I'm glad you're on the Celtics. Go be casual for them. Go be casual for them at this point. Seriously, I know you work hard. You're a good young man. I'm glad you represent Toronto. But in some ways, there's some questions about like your work ethic and certain things like that. That means you need to go above and beyond. And then seriously, Monique saying good summer league roster. Moses Brown though, wow, 7'2". Moses Brown, wow. Well, we'll have to see. Maybe he's at a point where he's mature enough at his time. With 4 years in the league, he is the vet on this summer league roster. He has the most experience. Well, let's see if he's gotten the point where he's humble enough from being passed from team to team a bit and not really finding a spot and maybe really scrambling and worried because he's on a summer league team for the Raptors and he's just trying to get a spot. So in some ways, Moses Brown may be a good example as a center out as a UCLA. Maybe they told him all these things when he came in and it didn't happen. And he got knocked down a little bit, a peg. And now he's got to be a little humbled in how he approaches things. He's just scrambling to try and make the Raptors at this point. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's crazy. Cowboys saying, I think that Texas Heat was getting to him. Laugh out loud. I wish him the best with that bag. I think the Houston fans will turn on him worse than these fake Raptor fans we have. Good luck, Freddie. Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't wish bad things for Fred other than I don't want his team to win. He can do whatever, like in his everyday life. I want him to be completely successful with his marijuana company with Darnell. I want him to be successful with his family. He wants to have more kids. He wants to raise his kids right. I want his mom to be protected and not getting any hate from people. I want all the right things for Fred other than him to be successful with M.A. Udoka. Not other than that, everything, whatever. I want him to be happy, enjoy his money, but no success on the NBA court. That's the one thing I will say about that. So G saying that report about the vets being frustrated to me is a setup by the media to go after Scotty in the future if he doesn't exceed expectations. Well, I want to believe that, G, but in some ways, all the signs point to it being true. The way that the younger Raptors fans freaked out and stood beside Scotty so hard on this really kind of tells that there may be some truth to this whole story about Fred's frustration with the young players on our team. So, listen, I don't know. We'll be vigilant. And once again, our whole mission here is to do what's best for the Raptors. Now, this is new information. We cannot poo-poo it or ignore it. But in some ways, we need to watch out and make sure, in some ways, I'm going to slant things and figure things out that's best to protect Scott and to also do what's best for the team in general. So, yeah, I see what you're saying. And if we see this behavior by them in the future, well, we'll know you called it out, G, that they may be setting things up to be critical of Scott because of things. And maybe Scott's understanding this. He wants to get ahead of it. This summer, he's going overdrive with his conditioning, no twitch, and just going crazy, coming back. And he has something to prove. Maybe he didn't want to do it Fred's way. He'll do it his way, and he'll want to get it there either way, and he'll show that he did. And that's what we can hope and pray as Raptor fans at this point, that if he is any kind of this, I mean, they're not giving up on him and they love him. So there may be just a conflict of how to go about doing it. Maybe Scott can get there still his way, but he's got to put in the work and he's got to go above and beyond. And he may not have wanted to hear the criticisms last year, but if they're in his head and they're bouncing around, maybe they still are getting through to him and he will make the adjustments, even if he had a bad reaction to them in that moment. That's the way it works sometimes. Somebody says something you don't like about you, it's critical, and you're like, fuck you, I don't want to listen to you. Well, it kind of goes around your head a little bit. And maybe you're like, you know what? The way he said that, I kind of maybe am like that. maybe I should make a couple of changes in that way. Sometimes that's how it happens. So it could be that Scott didn't want to hear it from Fred, but he did hear it and he is making the changes. I think that really does say a lot that he said he really wants to work on his conditioning this summer. Because he wants to be a certain level on defense, he has to up his conditioning. That is the main thing he said when he left the end of the season. At the end of the season, there. Let's see. G saying Butler tried to fight his coach. Green punched out Poole. Both winning teams. Teams being frustrated, especially in losing, is now a thing. It's weird because I think that it's a symptom of like things just being amped up in certain ways, like because of social media. In some ways, I think there are weird side effects from like all the buzz and the noise where guys may be a little more stressed out. Maybe their mental health's a little bit more tough to deal with, just because of this extra awful thing called toxic social media. The whole thing that happened with Draymond and Jordan is really messed up. Jordan did insult him. He said something really fucked up to him, and that is why Draymond punched him in the face. At that time, I said that. At that time, I was like, I know it's not Draymond's fault because he's the older guy and he wouldn't have done this. He's never done this in his career. The young guy is the aberration. This is why I say this. Old dudes that stay in the league for like 10 years or longer, they know how to stay in the league and not get in trouble. So when this kind of shit happens, it's usually the younger players' fault because they're the ones who just are the aberration in this. And it's true. Jordan was cocky. He was talking major trash to Draymond. And he went too far and he got a fist in his face. And it ruined their season last year and it ruined Jordan Poole's chance in Warriors jersey. So it is what it is. It all got worked out a certain way. And even though they acted like it didn't matter during the season, it did. Draymond said it over and over again. Said that fight at the beginning of the year messed up our whole year for the whole year. It did. And well, Jordan Poole's in the Wizards uniform and Draymond is still on the Warriors. So it's a weird thing. There's stress and everything. And in some ways, the Warriors season was the same as the Raptors season this year. They were mid. They had a dysfunction within it, and everything that was happening with us was happening with them to a degree also on their team. So it's a very similar thing for sure, except ours wasn't so open and out in the public as theirs was. So it's a weird thing. It's a very, very weird thing. Players got to get along and they got to figure out how to be team first and not have such egos that they can't be criticized. That's a big problem. If these people cannot be criticized or they get really pissed when somebody tells them how to do something, they need to check themselves. Seriously, they really do. Nameless is saying Embiid driving around is like a 1400cc motorcycle falling on you. So yeah, it's extremely dangerous. Yeah, these idiots. I mean, listen, all right, they had this white party. Michael Rubin had a white party this weekend and he had like Tom Brady, Beyonce, and Jay-Z. He's had all these huge super celebrities there, and they're all wearing white. And they're trying to say, "Oh, this is just the coolest party." This is such a fucking douchey fucking event. Honestly, half the Sixers were there. It was really ridiculous. And you see all the Sixers there. And then you see like people like Grant Williams and Tobias Harris, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing at that party? Y'all are not on the level of the rest of the people there in some ways. Like you guys are like nobodies compared to like Jay-Z and like everybody there. They did seem out of place, like Grant Williams and Tobias Harris to me. Tyrese Maxey, I can get him being there, and the other big names. But yeah, it was a really douchey party. Embiid and all them, like the Sixers and Celtics, and what a gross party. Like seriously, some of the people there I like the other celebrities, but most of the people there I was like, yeah, this is douchey. Like a white party, those things are lame to me. Like I don't get that. What is this whole white party? Wear all white and go to this. Is there some tradition for it? I don't know. Maybe I'm just ignorant to it, but it seems very pretentious. Let's just put it that way. Iceman saying a still potential Fred VanVleet sign and trade deal with Houston could give Toronto a huge TPE that could be used to take back a player making a huge salary right now by the trade deadline or during next offseason. Well, I hope this could still happen. The deals are not officially signed, but there's no murmurs or any kind of talk that this is actually possible. Part of it is that Houston doesn't have to do anything to help us. Fred doesn't have to do anything to help us. In these situations, this kind of happens when Fred, like Kyle did it. When we did the sign and trade with Miami, Kyle made sure that we got taken care of. He made it a stipulation that it had to be a certain way to help Toronto on his way out. Well, Fred's not doing the same thing that Kyle did. I don't see him politicking and saying, as part of my deal, you really want me to come there? We got to do this for Toronto as far as with sign and trade. He's not doing that. So it's really, we can want to do it, but it has to be agreed upon by Fred. Fred is the one who has to really initiate it and strong arm the Rockets to force them to do a sign and trade. But there's no murmurs that this is going to happen. The Rockets don't want to do it like they did with Dylan Brooks. And Fred is not making them have to do it. So this is the difference. It's not like Kyle with Miami. Fred is not forcing the issue to make it a sign and trade. So I don't think this is going to happen. It would be ideal and it would be great. You're exactly right. But it doesn't look like this is in the cards for what's going to happen, which is too bad. David's saying maybe one day he will do a swan dive and never come back up for air. Jeez, wow, grim, David. I hope you're enjoying your new fandom. Yeah, I hope you're enjoying your new fandom. Wayne saying Christian recovering from illness, a respiratory illness. I hope there's nothing to do with these damn fires up here in Canada. Whatever you got going on, Christian Coloco, we wish you well. In some ways, we're very sad that we won't get to see you in the summer league because we know you have really good things you could be doing out there. But it is what it is. And in some ways, this means we may get a good look at Moses Brown because of this. So very interesting. Mike saying, sounds like Fred, Spicy, and Thad were in the right. So it makes things extremely clear on why the Rockets wanted Fred still after locker room questions. Coaches' accountability issues were with the younger stars. Yeah, I mean that the signs all point to this. The Thaddeus incident very much points to it. It sucks. It just sucks. I just want, once again, if you're a young person and you think you know it all, you do not. You're going to learn tough lessons in life until you realize that. And we're just trying to help. If you have an old head in your life that's trying to help you with kind of seeing things, even if you don't like what they're saying, they may be trying to very much help you avoid making some very critical mistakes in your life. So please get over your arrogance, your ego, and just listen. Even if you don't take their advice, be respectful and listen to them and say, all right, I'll keep this in mind. But don't just flat out say, don't tell me what to fucking do or something like that. Seriously, don't be like that because you are limiting yourself in your life and how far you will go because you will be cutting off the best people to teach you. And that is the biggest folly in it. You stay ignorant because you're ignorant because your ego is what it is right there. Bam, 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 bam. MSJ saying Fred's leadership too preachy for the average NBA player. What player needs a mother figure on the team? You got to be a killer in that male vein. It's not a social gay conversation on the court. Yeah, I don't agree with this. MSJ, we agree on a lot, but I'm totally going to disagree with this. Fred can be that. I don't give a shit. He can be the leadership. He's earned it. That's what I'm saying. He's earned being able to be a leader. He's climbed to the top of the mountain. He's put that flag, that championship flag, in the top of the hill, and he is a champion. He is an accomplished person in his profession. And, listen, you could have a boss that you think is the biggest asshole in the world, and he goes about in the worst way, but you work for him, you listen to him, and you try and do what he says. In some ways, Fred was a boss to the young guys on this team, whether they wanted to think that or not. If he has the C, he's an extension of the coach on the court, and they need to respect that. I don't care what his style is. They need to eat it and just take it. I don't give a shit. And you're completely wrong. What player needs a mother figure on the team? These motherfuckers need a mother figure on his team. Seriously, they probably need a father figure and a mother figure because they're young men and sometimes they don't have a lot of parental guidance from when they were younger. Seriously, I've described Scott's childhood. His mother was busting her ass trying to make ends meet. So in some ways she was absent because she had to be at work all the time and his father wasn't around. So in some ways, yes, these young players need guidance from their teammates that are older. I completely disagree with your take. And, you can say, oh, you got to be a killer in the main event. Are you being sarcastic again? Is this another one of your sarcastic comments that I'm not reading correctly? Because seriously, this is true. You want to be good at what you do, you listen to your mentors. You're in the field of archaeology, you go fucking listen to Indiana Jones. You don't say, Indiana Jones, I don't want to listen to you. Well, I just got the crystal skull. Dun, 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 dun. Well, I should listen to him. Dun, 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 dun. You listen to the people that have gone ahead of you and have succeeded. It just makes sense. Why wouldn't you want to listen to Fred? This man knows what he's talking about. If you have a problem with his style, well, you got to understand that's Fred. That's how he does things. Don't be pissed at him. Don't do that. You should be feeling privileged that you got him teaching you. Well, you don't anymore. And maybe that'll make things easier. Maybe there will be a different leadership style on this team. Maybe Thad will step into it, and maybe he very much will make sure that these guys actually listen to him in the right way. Thaddeus has a lot more experience than Fred in some ways, teaching young people, being the right kind of mentor in those kind of ways. Maybe Fred isn't as good as it because he's not bullshit motherfucker guy. He's just not gonna mince words. He's gonna say you need to fucking do that better. Seriously, and maybe he will say it in a way that's not very nice. Well, get a thicker skin, motherfuckers. Seriously, you could get a drill sergeant kind of person on your team, and it may not be easy at all. You could have a coach like Bobby Knight fucking yelling at you all the time. Coach Popovich is known to yell at his players. Wemby's waiting for him to yell at him right now. He's like, I'm expecting when Coach Pop's going to just go off on me. Good coaches and good leaders on teams will yell at players. It could be a little abusive, sure, but they want to make sure they get their points across. Well, what is it? These youngsters can't handle it? Oh, no, he's yelling at me. Oh, my gosh. Coach Popovich, who's been coaching for 30 years, is yelling at me. DeJounte Murray. Oh, no. That's what I'm talking about. Seriously, y'all get over yourselves and get in line with the hierarchy of the NBA and leadership and veterans and teaching the game and passing it down. Completely disagree with MSJ. Monique is saying the report of Pascal and DeJounte Murray is silly. Yeah, we don't want DeJounte. He doesn't fit with our team. He's not the right kind of guard for us. In some ways, he's a knucklehead. He's on my list that is not welcome in Toronto. He's not a player I want here. I saw how he left San Antonio. I saw what he did since he's been in Atlanta, and his craziness online, the stupid shit he's saying all over the place on social media. Yeah, I don't want that dude on our team. He's like another Jordan Poole to me. Those guys are very similar, arrogant little fucks that really haven't done anything yet. Sure, you guys can score. Sure, you can do that. But do you guys win? Are you winning type players? No, you're just arrogant little scorers. They're like, I can fill it up and stuff like that. Yeah, but are you winning players? You add up to winning. I don't see that. G saying video of Fred and Jalen Green training, especially after that interesting video of Green, he will want to really prove himself this season to change the narrative. Which one, Jalen or Fred? I mean, either one. I don't care. Once again, I'm not a Rockets freak. I'm a Raptors freak. Now, the people were making jokes. It's like, Fred, don't turn your back on Jalen. That's what they're saying. Always keep him in front of you. Keep your eyes on him, is what they're saying about that. Don't make sure he doesn't come up behind you. Niall's saying a big part of the problem, Lex, is this one and done business. Kids are too young coming into the league with no guidance at the college level. They need more time in the coaching system. Yes. Grady went and got Bill Self for a year, and that may be enough for him. Scotty went and got Leonard Hamilton for a year at Florida State. That, I don't know if that was enough for him in some ways. Bill Self's a very tough coach, and you can tell Grady, in some ways, this may be part of why Grady will be really good on our team too. Maybe he can be a good example for the other Raptors, the young Raptors, to take instruction, constructive criticism, and all kinds of different things the proper way. It could be like Scotty sees Grady talk to them and how they need to talk to him, and he's like, holy crap, Grady, I really like your style and how you listen to them. Maybe I need to do that more or something. I don't know. Grady could be a good example for some of the young Raptors on how to take direction from coaches and to sponge, as he said, he wants to sponge up as much information from everybody. He's coming in with the right attitude. So in some ways, maybe Grady will be a good role model for Scott to take direction better in some ways. So we'll have to see. But you're exactly right, Denal. The length of how long they get in college and how they're not even there. They're maybe not even thinking about college. They're thinking about college like Kawhi thought about Toronto. It ends to the means as far as getting through Toronto, I can get to LA. Well, if I get through 1 year of college, I can get the NBA. And they're maybe more ahead of themselves and just thinking about getting to the NBA than actually taking and learning the things while they're in college. It's like, well, I just got to do the college thing, go through the rigmarole just to get to the NBA. And that's all I care about, really. Back in the day, college really stinking mattered. In the 80s, you went to UNC for 4 years. That meant something because you were under the tutelage of Dean Smith for 4 years, and you were packed full of programs of fundamentals and good sound basketball theory, and you were a complete player that was ready to play in the NBA right away when you came in. And there's none of that anymore. The G League is helping with G League Ignite. That does help to a degree with people like Scoot Henderson and Leonard Miller, but there still doesn't change anything to replace a 4 year college career where you are in there and you're really learning it over the time. They used to make guys stay for 4 years. Then they cut it down to 3. Then they cut it down to 2. Then they cut it down to 1. Then they said, you don't even have to go. And we wonder why these kids are not good at taking direction, or they're fundamentally not very good players. You can make all these arguments. Sure, the players are more talented than ever when they're young, but they're crap players. They don't know how to play the game correctly. And that's just the damn truth. And talent doesn't beat like learning how to play the game correctly. We've seen that in international basketball over and over again. When the US has the most talented team, do they win? No, if they don't have the team that plays together the most like a team. You can have the best players in the NBA playing international play, and a team like Spain will kick their ass because they play basketball the right way. You cannot just coast on talent in the NBA, motherfuckers. You need to get good also. And that's the ultimate thing. You want to be good and have that talent. Then you can really be powerful in the NBA. Because you can just be talented, but if you don't know how to do it right, well, you won't be as good. And that's just the truth. All right, let's see. G saying denial, 100%. That is why. Also, discipline has been an issue in the league, and they are turning to trading for vets and overpaying for vets right now. Organizations are losing millions because of this. Yeah, it's like an overcorrection. They really stopped investing in the vets, and now they're scarce. They're scarce. In some ways, they may be going to look and see, well, you retired 2 years ago. Can you come back, please? Can you please come back? We need you. We need somebody to come and babysit people. I get this. I get this at this point. They didn't realize that we need to value more vets, and there's an overcorrection at this point. Houston, very much doing that right now. Memphis, very much overcorrecting their lack of vets by getting Derrick Rose and Marcus Smart to show up in a Grizzlies jersey this season. So, yeah, there's a value to having vets, and that's part of the reason why we spent the $8 million on Thaddeus Young this weekend, is because we kind of do need him around. Mike's saying everything is lining up. This is a missing piece of the puzzle. Nick works with the vets better because you don't have to tell them their faults. But younger players need structure and accountability and logic. And that could very well be part of why Nick said good luck with those guys. It could very well be why he overplayed. But see, Scotty was a have on the have-nots. He was played all the time. He got as many minutes as he wanted. Maybe there were some of the other guys that were younger at the end of the bench that weren't listening or doing things correctly. I can tell who's working the hardest. I know Jeff Doughton Jr. is one of the guys who works the hardest. I know that Fred and Pascal are guys that work the hardest. I know OG is somebody who works very, very hard. That you can tell the guys who are really, really putting in the strongest effort. In some ways, I know Scott is working hard too. But we just got to figure this out, Raptors. You all really need to respect your elders. Let's just put it that way. That's the biggest lesson on this. Respect your elders and listen to them. They want you to get better. They want you to make more money. That's all Fred was all about last year, was teaching guys how to make more money like him. And sure, bet on yourself. Very selfish, very egotistical, and very much all about the bag. But he was also for you guys getting the bag. And that when he told you what to do, that was why he did it. It's just like why Kyle told everybody what to do in the years before. Is he wanted y'all to get paid. So it's not that he was coming at y'all with his advice and coming at y'all to be like an asshole. He wanted to help y'all, seriously. And you didn't listen to him. Wayne's saying Embiid not getting to the free throw line by throwing himself to the ground is monumental. Let's see how his basketball skills develop. Let's see how his scoring average drops. Let's see, like, if James doesn't play this year, let's see how bad he is this year. Like the contrast of Joel Embiid from last year, his MVP year. Yeah, right. With the no flopping rule and the absence of James Harden and the possible run into the ground and Nick Nurse, I have a feeling there's going to be a drop off in Joel's production, and he's not going to look as stellar as he has in recent years with James setting him up. If James is not there to do it, that will be very evident. And then the flopping stuff adds free throw points to him. Well, those points are going to go to the other team if you start doing that shit, Joel. So let's see how many points are shaved from your average with the new flopping rule, because those points will be going to the other team because of your stupid shit. Cowboy saying, let's go, Darko. Yes, Darko. Yeah, Darko's cool, man. He's just a breath of fresh air on that Grady Dick open gym. Just smiling, just a great presence on that episode. I love it. Sheer saying, good morning, Raptor Freak family. Have to be honest here. There was a chemistry issue the last couple of seasons, even when they were winning in the 48-win season, but it was masked by winning games. Vets should be more tactful. Well, I mean, yes and no. Once again, the approach of the vets in some ways is not the problem here. It's the people not responding or responding poorly to the vets that's the problem. Seriously, you go into school, maybe it is cushy and nice, and everybody's babied people too much in this young generation. When I went to school, we had very stern disciplinarians as teachers. And you go to class, you don't fuck around with them, you listen to them. And that's part of the problem here. It's not about being tactful. I don't give a shit if Fred cussed them out. I say, you fucking lazy fuckers, you fucking play better. I don't give a shit if he said the most awful things to them. He's their captain. And if he said that, he had a good reason to. He wouldn't have said it if he wasn't in the right way. I don't care if his delivery wasn't tactful. It doesn't matter. The message need to get through to them and they need to listen. If they had some problem with the way he approached them, well, maybe you talk about it and say, that was disrespectful, Fred. And I really feel like you shouldn't have said it that way. Then you can talk about it. You say, you know what, maybe I did. I apologize for that. But the message is still clear what I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter. Tactful bullshit. Who cares about that, Shirkan? I love you. You're one of my favorite people on here. But once again, bullshit. We don't have to soften the blow. This isn't like a little babies league. This is a league of men. And if you can't take a drill sergeant reaming out of cussing from somebody in your team, then you shouldn't probably be in the NBA. Is what I'm going to say right now. You could go play with another league, go play overseas or something else. I don't give a shit. But if you don't want to be cussed out by your vets, then maybe you shouldn't be in the NBA because your vets will cuss you out at every stage of the history of the NBA. You go ask Charles Oakley. He was cussing out youngsters on his team all the time when he was a vet. He probably cussed out Tracy and Vince back in the day. Seriously. I bet you Charles Oakley took Vince Carter over the side. He said, Vince, come here. You don't fucking ever do that shit again on the court, ever fucking again. You do that shit you did last game, you will fucking have to deal with me. Oh shit, I'm got Oakley pissed. I can't fucking, you probably listen to him. I don't give a shit about tact. It's not about tact. These are men and they're in battle. They fucking be cussing and maybe say some shit that may hurt some feelings. Grow up. Fucking get over yourself, your hurt feelings and bullshit. That's how I'm sorry, guys. I'm very much on the side of the old heads because I understand it from their point of view. And I also understand it from the youngsters' view because I was the same brash, dumb kid who didn't listen to old people too when I was younger. And I realized how stupid I was at that time. So yeah, just take it from future me from past me to know the difference over time and experience and living and growing up. You figure out that, rejecting, the advice of older people because you don't like it or you feel like they're being critical of you, or maybe they don't have tact is often folly. It's often folly. Fun guy saying, whoever is taking that feud story as something meaningful are idiots. Laugh my ass off. Players always fight and feud. That's literally normal. There is no right or wrong. Players have to fight. Players have to fight. I wanted to avoid this idea that this was happening last season. In fact, we very much denied it. I was like, no. Unless I know for sure this shit's happening, I'm not going to say there's a versus between players on our team because it doesn't suit the team. It's not good. And especially in the middle of the season, we won't talk about it. But now we're in the middle, we're in the middle of summer and there's no games to be played right now. So in some ways, we can openly talk about this in a way that it's not really destructive for the team in some ways. Like in the middle of it all, it's destructive. Social media takes the ball and runs with this story. But now is a time we can get away with analyzing and talking about it. And in some ways, this is important because this is part of the toxic around our team that we need to clean up if we're going to be functionally the best we can be. And, I get it. You can say that this isn't meaningful, but there's a lot of smoke this year. And now we see fire. Well, we got to start believing that this was true about the differences on our team between the young and old players, because it does seem like this would be a very logical explanation for why there were issues with our team. And if Nick couldn't control it or do a good job of keeping it under wraps or keeping these guys together, well, he needed to be fired. So there's a lot to this whole thing for sure. A lot to it for sure. All right, let me see. Where were we here? That was fun guy that said that. Why did it jump so far? All right, I'll make sure I get every single comment. There's Kareem Thomas. I hadn't seen him yet, so I got to make sure I get back. It jumped all the way to the end of the comments from where I was just now. Okay, hang on. I think I found my spot. Hang on. Wow, there's so much to figure out from here. Okay, here we go. I'm at Cowboy. Our culture is back. See y'all at the parade this year. And he's got the Raptor chomp chomp face. I love it. Monique saying, Lex, me and you thought it was Jama at first as lead assistant. Yeah. Well, it kind of would make sense. He could have been the lead assistant, but I think with James Wade leaving the job he was doing, he's the most qualified to be the lead assistant. He's been a head coach on the WNBA, so he knows how to run a team as a head coach, and he's a very good head coach. That's the other thing. So I feel most comfortable with James Wade being the number one lead assistant, because if Darko does get thrown out of a game, we want somebody that's very like capable. Now, the still a problem with our team is nobody's known by the refs. And it's going to be very interesting to see how the refs deal with our coaches this year. We may not get as much respect after Nick, because Nick got more respect because he's established. But these guys got to get established now. So we'll have to see. I'll bet you Jama's one of the top assistants, if not the top second one. He may be the second assistant or the third. I don't know. But it's definitely James Wade is probably going to be the lead. And I wouldn't say Pat Delaney is above Jama for sure just because he's coaching the summer league. There's no way of really sussing that out. And in some ways, that doesn't really matter. The hierarchy of like the exact order. It's really just there's the head coach and the lead head assistant are really the two designations. The rest of them are all kind of even after that. So, and then, but there is front bench and back bench, and that kind of delineates some stuff too. Shirkan saying, even the best in the game, MJ was known to not be really good with his relationships. Yeah, he punched his teammates out. It all depends on the confidence and reception of the youngsters on the team. Scotty can do better. Grady will help. I really do think Grady will help. He could really be a good role model for how to take criticism and maybe like take instruction in every kind of way. Fred's gone. They're not going to have to deal with Fred's leadership at this point. It could be very different in some ways. So maybe in some ways that is part of the addition by subtraction, is that Fred may have been an epicenter of this issue, and now he's gone. Nick was a part of the problems. Fred was gone, a part of the problems. They're both gone. Hopefully it's part of the problems will clear up because of it. But maybe the guys who really cared and the ones that were on the end of trying to get the best out of us are the guys who left. And that's what I'm worried about. Maybe the lazy ones, the ones that were the problem, are still here. And I don't want that to be the issue. I want the issue to be gone and be fixed, even if one side of it's gone. That's how to do it. Now, that's part of it. These youngsters have to come in with respect for the people above them. In some ways, people don't respect people. There's a problem. And in some ways, you need to respect. This is why this will be a good test with the coaching staff. Some of these coaches do not have NBA experience. Well, will our players listen to them? Will they understand that their occupation is coach? You listen to your coaches. And will you fall in line with them and really respect them? That's what I want to know about our young Raptors. Are you respecting the people that are supposed to be the leaders around you? Y'all need to do that. Seriously. If you're not doing that, then I don't want you on my team. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how great you are. And the people that are just, oh, you're so great, we don't care, we let them do whatever. Fuck that. That's the worst way you can be with a team, because then you end up with a very like babied, over babied person that's not really a winner. They're very talented, but they're not going to go the extra mile to try and win because they're lazy or they're scared or they don't like criticism or whatever, all those kind of reasons. You can't be like that in the NBA. So if there's somebody like that on our team, I don't want them on our team. Seriously, they better be all about winning and drive and not being such a pussy that they can't hear criticism. Seriously, that's a big problem. Iceman saying Jama Mahalalea, Pat Delaney, and James Wade are all listed as being lead assistant coaches. Yeah, I think James is the replacement, though. Seriously, because he has more experience jumping in there. But those are the three top assistants for sure. Jim Sand, Mike Batiste, Vin Babnani, Drew Jones, and Ivo Simovic round out the coaching bench staff. That's right. Those guys will be on the second bench. And Jim, we know, is a practice coach. Evo is going to be kind of like, I think he's going to be a little bit like Nate Bjorngren for Darko. He's going to kind of be the guy who's keeping things kind of organized, and maybe like his right-hand man in some ways, even though he's not the lead assistant. He may be kind of like the Nate guy for Darko. And then the lead assistant, which would be like Adrian, would be James Wade. And then you got like a guy like Earl would be Jama. Jama's going to be like Earl Watson. And Pat Delaney will be like Trevor Gleason. So it'll be kind of like that. I think that it'll be kind of like that. I don't know if they'll have the exact same roles in the coaching staff as the guys I just compared them to, but that's kind of the way I look at it. Denal's saying, I'll say this. They're saying that Fred and Pascal had an issue with the young guys, but we don't know what they were saying. Just because they're vets doesn't mean they're always right. Hopefully all is fixed. Well, I'm going to say this. We know Pascal's personality. We know Fred's personality. And that matters because they've been around and they had vets like DeMar and Kyle teach them from before. So I'm more likely to side with the established guys that have been around a long, long time, the guys who've worked really hard, the guys that have a proven track record, the guys that, like, honestly, who does Pascal ever have a problem with? Do you think Pascal is a guy who has conflicts with people easily? No, he's a guy who stays away from getting in conflicts. You know that Siakam's like that. So if he had a problem with some of the young players not playing as hard as they could, and he got with Fred, and they're like, "Yeah, this is an issue," that's serious. Because in some ways, Siakam's not a guy who gets involved in this kind of stuff. And that means a lot. In fact, that means major if Siakam has an issue, because I don't see Siakam making issues very often. I don't see Siakam like trying to find problems. If he says that there was a problem, I'm sure there was. I'm not talking about Fred, whatever with Fred, but Siakam, that's different because you got to think about Siakam's personality and how he doesn't like drama. He doesn't look for it. And if he had a problem, if that's true in that report, saying that he was one of the people complaining about how the younger guys were doing things, that means there was a problem. If Siakam's saying it, seriously. G's saying the problem is Fred, Pascal, and Thad now. It's not a good look on the youth, to be honest. Thad and Pascal, especially, are not abrasive at all. I know. That's what I'm saying. Siakam is one of the nicest guys in the world. In some ways, I wish he was more of an asshole. We talked about mean Siakam in the last year or so and how we'd like him to be more like that. And Thaddeus, I'm telling you, the track record with Thad is how many AAU teams has he coached? How many youngsters has he had an impression on in his life? And like, why is this a problem? I see how he trains his kids every day on Instagram. And I know that Thad's not the problem. I know Thad and Pascal are not the problem. Maybe Fred was because he had a bad approach, but still, that's what I'm saying. In a lot of ways, it doesn't look good. You got Thaddeus Young, who's been in the league for so long, interacted with so many coaches, so many different players, mentored so many different people. There's tons of people in the league that talk about how Thad was an important vet for them and raising them up and getting better in the league. And that's what I'm saying. The track records and the history it's proved that the other guys, the guys who are established, like Draymond, like Pascal, like Thad, are the ones who are usually on the right side of things. It's just how it works. The old heads usually are right. And I know young people are mad at me because they're like, why do you think that the old people are always right? Well, it's because they've been around and they understand how things work better than the young person. And the old person's trying to help them and correct them. And if they are fighting against them, correcting them, then they're the wrong ones. The young people are the wrong ones in that situation. G's saying, but in the end, it's a nothing story because this is normal in competitive sports. Yeah, I agree with that. But, in some ways, you don't want it to overwhelm your team to the bad level of this. We want good vibes on this team, and we're going to try and find them again this year. But, everybody could do a little bit better from their ends. If there's old guys that are being too abrasive and too hard, all right, let's baby them a little bit more. And youngsters, open your ears up a little bit more and take in the information and listen to them a little bit more also. We can meet in the middle by being a little better on both sides. That's all we want, seriously. Mike, I'm going to look at your message, even though you deleted it. Harder coach is needed for a younger team, and the issues internally were systemic problems from that. Our younger guys just need to mature more. Lowry was a late mature. Siakam and Fred early. Seems okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm with this. Maturity gets gained over years. Some of these guys are very young, and I get it. They're not totally worldly or mature in like as men. So why would we expect them to be mature as players? So yeah, time is part of it. And Kyle's a great example. He was not mature when he was in Memphis and Houston, and he didn't get maturity until he came to Toronto. MSJ saying, yeah, Bol Bol. Why in the world did Orlando waive him? Wasn't he rather good last year? He was pretty good. He's a weird project. He's got a crazy skill set, but he does have deficiencies that can be a problem for a team also. It really is just like a management move. They don't have enough spots, and they had to make a tough decision, and he was the one who lost out. It's because they have new signees that they have new blood coming in, and he was kind of the guy odd man out, and they didn't have enough room. So that's why they would have kept him if they had the extra room, but they don't. So they had to cut him loose. It's a totally a management decision as far as who gets spots, and Bol Bol's just out. That's how it is. Space Cadet saying Fred and Pascal are champions. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt over the young guys. If there was a problem in the locker room with the young guys, I'm more inclined to believe the vets. And that's just the way it should be, honestly. In a lot of ways, that is the way things work in all areas around the world. Seriously. If you're new at a job and you have people above you and they're trying to tell you how to do your job better, you should probably listen to them because they've been doing the job longer. That just makes sense. You take a new job and you're working in a new field that you're kind of green in, you're a little bit of a rookie. Well, I would want to get the attention and encouragement and instruction from people that have been there longer so that I could do my job correctly, get a raise, and get paid more. That just seems like logical right there, right? Let's see. Nameless is saying, I could see a team overpaying for Bol Bol. Well, a lot of the teams don't have a lot of room to maneuver at this point, but maybe you might be right. We'll have to see. Nako's here. Good to see Gerald. Out of the little I watched of Orlando, Bol Bol was my favorite player. He was definitely a factor in the 2 games that Orlando beat us when things started to really go downhill for us this season. That Bol Bol effect was very much in effect. It was, in fact, the Bamba and Bol Bol teaming up of that length was just insane. And they really did mess us up in Orlando when we went down there last year. But yeah, in some ways, Bol Bol's an oddity as a player. In some ways, he's a victory cigar. Like I've called some of these players like Boban recently. I like him, and he could be serviceable, and I wouldn't mind him in a Raptors jersey for sure. But I don't know. Like y'all want too much. There's going to be no spot for Moses Brown. There's going to be no spot for half the guys, most of these guys on Summer League. So it's like we can want a whole bunch of different guys, but guys are going to get cut. And people are going to say, oh, we should have kept Sam Decker. Oh, we should have kept this person when we cut him then. It's like Jalen Harris, people get cut. And it's just going to happen. And we have a lot already on our plate. Bringing in Bol Bol, too, may make it very difficult to find him a spot. Let's see. Monique saying, I knew it was going to be Eric Curry's second chance. I had a short chat with Noah Lewis yesterday. Awesome. So she's talking about to the coach yesterday. I said, I'll definitely see you next season. Huge congratulations. He said, absolutely. Awesome. Monique is our insider. She knows coach and staff of the Raptors, and she's talking to Noah Lewis, our new video coordinator, yesterday. That's the way Masai's done it with the 905. These guys get 2 years. Jama got 2 years. Jerry Stackhouse got 2 years. Patrick Mutombo got 2 years. And now Eric Curry will get 2 years, regardless of the change with Nick Nurse. And that's good. That gives some consistency on that level. But he'll get this 1 year, and we'll see what happens with him after that. So I hope 905 is hugely successful this year. Eric Curry, I hope you have a little bit more of a steady ship without all the rockiness from the main franchise. And also, the weirdness of your season. I hope you get the guys coming to you in the right times so that it really enhances your schedule and your win losses. And maybe y'all can win G League this year. I'm all about that. All right. And you tell me more about what you talk about with Noah Lewis, Monique. We always like to have that insider insight. Fun guy saying Fred for sure gave that egomaniacal vibe. So it makes sense. Young guys were being targeted and blamed by that inflated head guy. I'm actually happy Fred's gone now. He was starting to turn into Nick Nurse. Yeah, fuck all that. Fun guy, I'm not going to agree with you on this. I love you, fun guy. You're my dude in Mississauga. But yeah, you guys painting him with the egomaniacal thing, he's earned it. He can be a little bit of an egoist. He's been at the top of his field in some ways. I'm not mad at him for being an egomaniac in some ways. We needed him to be an egomaniac. The only way that Fred becomes who Fred is if he does that. And honestly, he has the right to be like that on our team. Seriously, I don't slight him. Even if he was a little egotistical in how he did it, I'm sure he didn't do it egotistically. I don't think that that's actually a fair label for him. I think he just was. This is the thing about Fred. He's like me. He's no bullshit. He'll fucking tell you if he doesn't like you. He'll fucking tell you if he doesn't like what you said. He'll fucking tell you straight up. He's no bullshit. And that's what people rubs him wrong. It's not that he's an egotist. He's just a no bullshit guy. And in some ways, people want bullshit. They want to be coddled and stuff like that. Well, Fred's not going to fucking do that. And I appreciate him for that and being his true self and cutting to the chase and not being full of shit. He's more likely to tell you the truth and be no bullshit. And if you take that as egotism, that's what it is. It's not egotism. He's no bullshit. He'll cut to the chase. He won't mince his words. He won't soften the blow. He'll just fucking tell you how he needs to tell you it because that's who he is. And I respect that as a person like him. Seriously, you can call me an egotist, but I'm the same way. Let's cut to the chase. No bullshit. Let's just fucking say what we mean and mean what we say instead of fucking dancing around it. That's how Fred is. And I have no problem with that. In fact, that's a good leader, honestly. That is a good leader. Don't waste time. Get it out in the open. Fix it. Well, if somebody's not responding to that kind of leadership, I once again question them. Seriously. Because once again, he has more of a lineage, a more of a resume that needs to be respected. It's just because half the Raptors nation doesn't respect Fred's resume doesn't mean that his teammates should be doing that, because that's fucked up. They seriously be taken into account. This is an all-star. This is a guy who was undrafted, who made it to a max contract. This is a guy who has a championship ring. This is a guy who has excelled in his field. They should be looking at that. You don't think Michael Jordan was an egotistical leader in the way he led the Bulls? Of course he was. In some ways, these guys have to be like this to get to the level that they get to in their profession. And if other guys want to be like them, well, maybe they should fucking listen to them, is what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, I don't get this. You guys can get mad at Fred. He's gone, and say that he was an egotist and he was part of the problem. But I honestly don't think that he was the problem. I really don't. Seriously. And that's not just me being a Fred stan. That's just me logically reasoning it out in my head that this has not ever been an issue with Fred before these last couple years. That now all of a sudden it's an issue. It's very strange. Very, very strange. And I can see a tendency in Scott to not want to listen to older people from his Twitch. There was a whole thing with me on his Twitch for a while when they found out I was in my 40s. And they're like, some people were like, oh, we don't listen to you, you old head, or stuff like that. Some of the youngsters were like that in that chat. And I was like, well, do you guys still want me to be here? And some of them were like, no, we like you being here because you're knowledgeable and you teach us stuff. And we value you being on the stream with us, Raptors Freak. But it's in some points, I saw the tendency for a young person to reject old people and stuff like that. And Scotty probably did reject me at some point just because he met me in person. He's like, I'm listening to this guy on my Twitch and I've seen him in person now. And I'm like, I can't respect this guy. So I don't want to listen to him anymore. And that could be part of the reason why they don't do Twitch anymore, is because he's like got people like me on there and we're just giving him suggestions and stuff. Well, I don't want to listen to old head Raptors Freak. What has he got to offer me? He's never played at a certain level in basketball or this like this and this and this. And I know that Scotty also values having a coach that played before, that he'll much more respect a coach that has actually played. And I'm worried about that with Darko. You better fucking listen to Darko, Scott. You better realize that's your head coach and you better fucking listen to him. That's what I'm going to say right now. There are channels of people who are in charge. And the coach is in charge of the players. And if the players don't listen to coach and the players are the problem, then I'm going to have a problem with the player. Let's keep going. Raps Love is here. Pascal deserves everything from this fan base. And this time he's done nothing but improve and represent this team in a proper and amazing way. You think he deserves not the hate, though. He deserves the love and the great accolades and the praise and stuff like that. The racist hate, he doesn't deserve that. That's for sure. I agree with this. Siakam has worked hard. Even after getting a huge contract, he still works even harder. In fact, he may work harder today than he did before he got that contract. So that's awesome, and that's amazing. And I agree with you, Raps Love. He deserves our love, the Raps Love, as you put it. Kareem's here. Good to see Kareem Thomas. If y'all just take a step back and realize how much the NBA and media loves us, it's crazy. NBA teams want all of our players, all of our coaches. We're doing something good around here. If that ain't the truth, oh my gosh, Kareem Thomas, is that not the truth? They want our coach, they want our GM, they want our players, they want everybody having to do the Raptors. We anoint somebody and say, you're somebody the Raptors are interested in. They all start thinking about it. Whoa, the Raptors were interested in Delano. Delano. Ooh, the Raptors were going to go get this person. Let's go get him after them. Stuff like that. There's a lot of that. There is a lot of that, and Kareem is exactly right. Kareem's also saying, stop biting at the bait. I'm sure Bobby and Masai is only working at the back end of the roster right now. Pascal ain't going anywhere. And just for fun, we need to re-up Pascal if we want Giannis. There's weird rumblings that, even though we didn't get the Giannis sweepstakes when we thought we would when that contract came up, that, weirdness can happen in Milwaukee in weird ways. And what if Giannis is loose all of a sudden out of Milwaukee? What if Toronto is able to do it after all in years later, that we win the Giannis sweepstakes just delayed? There are possibilities for this. There's been kind of weird rumblings about Giannis and Milwaukee in different ways. We'll have to see how things go with him and Adrian. I'm sure they'll be fine. But if things do go south, in some ways, Toronto is a number one destination for Giannis Antetokounmpo. We know of his relationship with Masai, and we know that it could be very, very interesting if that actually ever happened. Giannis in a Raptors jersey. I know a lot of people would be crazy from Milwaukee Bucks Nation, but it is true that on his list of short list of teams that he would want to play for other than Milwaukee, Toronto is on it. And who knows? This Giannis sweepstakes may not happen when we got rid of Surgeon Mark. But what if it happens, comes back around delayed after the fact? That could be really crazy. Denal saying true at Space Cadet. But what if the young guys saw we weren't moving the ball and wanted to play faster and not so much ISO? Pascal is older, but hasn't been playing organized basketball very long. All speculation. I hate it. Yeah, a lot of this is speculation to a degree. And, we don't know exactly what's true. Like, what aspect was the problem as far as between the young and the old? Is it like what Denal's saying? Is it about the actual things on the court, like isolation, who's getting touches, who's shooting a lot? Or is it more about what I've been saying earlier, the style of trying to get the team in the right frame of mind and how they prepare and how they are professional? Because those are two different things. The stuff on the court, it could be what it is, but I don't think it is because they should be mad at Nick for that and not the other players. If they didn't like the system and who was getting the shots, that's Nick. But if it's the thing where Fred comes up to Scott after a game in the locker room and kind of reams him out for something, that's a whole different kind of thing. So it may not be X's and O's stuff on the court. It may just actually be like interpersonal skills behind the scenes kind of stuff instead. David's saying, what's a good field goal percentage for a guard? To me, I don't care what position you play. I think that a good field goal percentage is one that's over 45%, just in general. I think that if you can shoot over 45% in the league, I'm happy with you. If you shoot right at 45%, that's acceptable to me. Now, if you get between 40 and 45%, that's not so good, but it's better than being in the 30s. And I know where David's going with this. But yeah, 45% is the best field goal percentage. I don't care what position. Now, if you're point guard, we give a little bit more of allowances. If you're above 40%, I'm pretty happy to a degree. But if you're below 40%, that's not efficient shooting. And I know who you're talking about. Stargate saying, congratulations to Noah Lewis. That's a huge step. Yeah, it's pretty cool that he started with the Wayne Embry thing that they offer to people. You come in, an ordinary person, apply and come in. This is a really intelligent way for the Raptors to get good talent and personnel from out of the blue. You get this Wayne Embry fellowship going, and you get to talk to a lot of good, talented people that you wouldn't have had no chance of netting because they're interested. They want to come in and they talk to you. You talk to them. You're like, wow, I'm impressed with this guy. Well, it's netted us a video coordinator and Noah Lewis from the Wayne Embry Fellowship. Fantastic. I honestly think that's awesome. I really, really do. Mike, I'm going to keep reading your deleted messages, even if you don't want me to. When you draft younger guys, you get issues with mature and professionalism isn't solid. That's understandable. 20 to 21-year-olds aren't set in that 9 to 5 mindset on things. Very talented, but maturing is key. Well, I like the stories of like Pascal saying, I used to come into practice and I thought I practiced, but then I saw what DeMar was doing and I knew I had to up my game. I love hearing the stories like I had to come into practice, Scotty says, and I saw Siakam was already here from 5 a.m. and I realized I had to up my game. And I like the whole idea that these guys were racing to get to the OVO center the earliest. Fred would try and beat Pascal to get to the OVO center to work out in the morning. And this is what I'm talking about. Professional means you're a professional. You're getting paid, and that's your profession. Well, if you want to be at the top of your profession, there's no off season, and you definitely need to put in the work. And if these guys are kind of like, I made it, I got my bag, I can hang out and watch video games and do whatever I want and just kind of goof off all the time. And you don't take it as seriously as the guy who's actually working out every single day, running up and down the beach. You see what Gary Trent's doing, you see what Pascal's doing. There's the difference between winning in the NBA right there. And that's what these guys know, Fred and Pascal. They know what it takes to win because they saw what Kawhi did. They saw what DeMar did. They saw what Kyle did. And in some ways, they're trying to pass it down to our younger Raptors, just like those guys did for them. DeMar, when he taught Pascal, he took the lessons and he's doing it now. Well, that's all Pascal's trying to do right now is pass things down like DeMar did to him, like Kawhi did to him. And Fred, the same thing. Kyle passed this down to me. I'm trying to pass this down to y'all. And if they're rejecting that passing down, that's an issue with the youngsters right there. That's an issue with the youngsters. MSJ saying, I thought Bol Bol was impactful last year. And Grange, he is a corporate NCP, the corporate NCP and a Legend of Zelda Tavern who says, our team plays basketball. That's about all I ever learned from him. Well, it's interesting that Grange, I don't know who put this article out exactly, but I think there's some teeth to it. I mean, there's not anything specifically, but you kind of get the gist of it, and it makes sense for the weirdness about our team last year. You know, the coaches' problems, sure, but their player problems too at the same time. It makes sense. I love that you're referencing the Legend of Zelda. So good. Do 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 do. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and give MSJ once another dunk. MSJ's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 dunks for he's in the top 5 of the dunk competition just for referencing a Legend of Zelda. That's great. Cowboys saying Masai and Bobby are doing a great job. I love these guys. Let's go. Yes, I love that too. I'm all about that. Monique saying I always knew about Noah Lewis. That's cool. Space Cadet saying maybe this is just Grange making fake drama. I don't even know if Grange made this story, guys. The story isn't attributed to Grange about the conflicts with the team. It's from sports. It is from Sportsnet, so maybe it is from him. I don't know for sure. I'll go check the source once again. If it is Grange, but listen, this is the other thing. I watched Kenyon's conversation with Samson Folk this week, and Samson's saying that this divide was on the team in that podcast. He said there's a divide between the young and the old on the team, and Samson's own words was it's really bad is what he said. So Samson Folk, a very trusted Raptors reporter who's in the know because he has proximity to the team. And as he said, I like to concentrate on basketball stuff and not on the drama or stuff that's non-basketball related around the team. Well, he doesn't report on things like this. He wants to talk about the plays, the X's and O's, the tendencies of Scotty and what he's going to do on offense. He doesn't want to talk about the problems that he very well might have seen firsthand because he's got a writer's code that he doesn't want. He wants to write about just the game. And but he said to Kenyon the other day, he said is very much a divide between the young and the old on the Raptors, and it's bad. That is the way that Samson Folk, a reputable, trusted Raptors reporter, has described it. And in some ways, they made a big contention about the corporate media that covers the Raptors and being independent media on Raptors Republic. So in some ways, Samson's saying as an independent person outside of that corporate structure that you're describing is it says a lot also right there. So we know that even though it doesn't seem like it is true, it probably is because Samson said something about it. Denal saying, I didn't like how Fred blamed a lot of the 3 young guys in the media, especially with young guys. You keep that strictly locker room. Big facts, logical. They need 3 years, college max, 2 years minimum. You know what, Denal? I'm going to agree at that part. You know what? Once again, Nick Nurse throwing players under the bus in interviews after the game is never good. And Fred doing the same thing. This is locker room issues. You keep it private and behind closed doors. And in some ways, what you just said is part of why Fred got so much hate is because he made a target on himself because he did say shit like this publicly. And they made it seem like, okay, he's being mean to Scotty, and all the Scotty lovers were really mad at Fred after that. You know, that's true. I agree with you. He should have kept it private, and it shouldn't have been put out there like he did. But then again, Fred did also do the Ben Taylor tirade this year too. So he's very outspoken, and he has a hard time, maybe not speaking exactly how he feels. Maybe he does need to work on that just a little bit, especially with talking to the media. So I'll agree with that for sure. And I like what you're saying also about at least what these guys need to be prepared to come into the league. They need something. They need some sort of some training or something. If it's not going to be college, G League Ignite is okay. But what is going on with this? Seriously, if I was a young player, I want to be as prepared as possible to succeed in the NBA. I would be like Koloko and stay in Arizona for a few years and really develop before I make that move. So, what? Okay. She's just distracting me in the hall. I don't know why. Stargate saying, where's Marc Gasol? He would be a great big man coach. He's in Spain, and I think he plays still. He's playing in a Spanish league as the owner player. He owns the team, and he's also a player on the team. So he's playing in a Spanish league. as a player owner, which is cool. I love that about Gasol. Nako saying you have to respect Scotty as someone who knows ball to help with drafting. I think Grady and Scotty can help each other's weaknesses. Of course, I respect Scott and his acumen, and he knows way more about basketball than I do for sure. But he doesn't know more about basketball than Fred. He doesn't know more about basketball than Pascal. And that's the difference. And I love that they had him in the war room and it keeps him involved. That is very important. If we don't have a cutoff, we definitely need one because she is here and she's giving me an eye from the hallway, just so y'all know. G saying Kyle was difficult under Casey at first and was known to be a jerk, but bought into the system later and became the GROAT. Media picking apart personalities and social media not allowing personal growth anymore. Yeah, this is all a part of the stew that makes it really difficult to be successful in the NBA these days. There's a lot more pitfalls for folly with social media and people like not getting along in weird ways with personality clashes, generational clashes. There's definitely a generational clash going on in the NBA, and it's not just contained to the Raptors. This is happening on a lot of teams across the whole entire league. It's very weird, very, very weird. Infamous deleted your comment, but I'm not going to let you. All right, he's saying, Mike is saying, Kareem, facts. Masai talked on, did we get ahead of ourselves after last year's results? I'm seeing that it was in part the success on the first season that hurt the season this year, given not earned. Well, that's part of what Chris was saying too. We lost dog. We lost that feeling of being underdogs and a chip on our shoulder, and we weren't motivated as much. We think about the teams with Kyle, didn't matter where the score was, we were a threat to come back and try and win. Well, this year we lost that. We were apathetic. We rested on our laurels. Maybe we got it too comfy, and we need to get that chip on our shoulder back as being somebody who's slighted. The team is not getting predicted right by NBA experts saying that we're going to be this and this. We take that as fodder and we try to prove them otherwise. Well, that motivation needs to be strong. And all the players from the young to the old. And that is something that's important. We need dog. We need to care. We need to get up off our ass and be that team that is feisty and a jerk and does not want to go away like the Raptors teams have been in the past. We lack that this year. And I blame the coach and I blame the lackadaisicalness of the whole entire roster in general. So, Nameless is saying, hopefully Moses Brown will create healthy competition and put a little pressure on Coloco's development so he does not go stagnant. That's always good. That's why I want Noel to kick so much ass. He will and make the competition in our team go woo way, way up real quick. And I'm all about that. I don't know if Moses Brown is going to have this effect, though. We're just going to have to see. Let's see what happens with him. If he's really dominant and we cannot deny him, just like Jeffrey Doughton Jr. last summer league. That's really what happened. Last summer league, Jeffrey Doughton Jr. just did so well in summer league. He got to this point where he is with us. Well, that's the route that Moses Brown's going to need to take. He's going to have to be this year's Jeffrey Doughton Jr. if he wants to make our team. He's really going to have to be super consistent and impressive and overwhelmingly so good that we can't say no. And we have some two-way spots open to sign these guys too. Cowboys saying, I was thinking the same. Nameless. Let's grow Coloco, get healthy, and I can't wait to see what Darko and Schroeder do with him. Yeah. We'll have to see. Schroeder is an interesting thing we're not talking about. I watched some Dennis Schroeder YouTube channel yesterday. It's all in German, guys, and he's in Germany, and he's such an interesting guy. Seriously, Schroeder is a real athlete. He is a badass, and we're going to be very happy that he's on our team. He's not going to fully fill Fred's shoes, but he's going to come close. He's going to do a lot of the stuff that we need him to do, and he'll do less of what we didn't need Fred to do, which is exactly what we ordered. So I'm really excited about Schroeder. Go check out his YouTube. You're going to have to watch it with subtitles because it's all in German, y'all. He's got a German YouTube channel. It's kind of fun. Monique saying, everyone freaking out over Trey falling Pascal. Stop it. Pascal's staying. Oh, yeah, this is dumb. This is why I'm saying y'all stop worrying about who's falling who's unfallen who. None of it means jack shit. None of it does. He also went and followed Wemby. So what? Do the Atlanta Hawks think they're going to trade and get Wemby right now just because of that? All the Hawks fans think, oh, we're going to get Wemby because Trae Young is following Victor Wembanyama? Yeah. So the logic of that with Pascal, same stupid shit. Now they're saying because last year he started following DeJounte and something happened when he came to the Hawks. Yeah, that may have been just a dumb luck, or maybe they knew that was going to happen. But this is silly. Whatever. Monique, I love you. But all the news about following people and unfollowing people, honestly, it's not really content I'm interested on here. I will talk about it if it specifically does really matter, but most of this stuff is garbage. It's useless. Fun guy saying it's very easy to see where the divide was to me. Kudos to young guys telling those older guys to do things like pass the ball, play defense, etc. Scotty was teaching those vets like he's a vet. Ridiculous, fun guy. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous take. That's not. That is a ridiculous take. Seriously. No, listen, he could come to the coach and say, listen, these guys are getting the ball too much. Can you change your plan and make things change? No, it was Nick's fault. It's not the vet's fault, what you're describing. That's Nick's fault. They do what Nick told them to do. Fred gets all those shots because Nick told him to do. He wanted him to do that. Pascal, so many isolations and all this stuff you're just saying, that's Nick telling him to do that. That's not Pascal and Fred. It's Nick. And if they have a problem with that, that's Nick. So that's totally a messed up comment. It doesn't make any sense, honestly. Are you being sarcastic? Because honestly, it sounds like a sarcastic statement, really. MSJ saying at denial, yeah, perhaps they need to be called out, but a straight up call, not some kind of helpful advice. This year should be interesting in terms of leadership, though. I'm a fun guy. You're right with this. I'm not. He's not right with this, MSJ. He's not. Seriously, it's ridiculous that y'all think that it's the old guy's fault. It's not. It's the young guy's fault in this situation. It just is. Seriously, we can look from the outside. We know the track records with these dudes, the history of them. It doesn't make any sense to think that. You know what? They need to be called out, but a straight up call, not some kind of helpful advice. See, I agree with that. That was what Fred said at the end of the season, his end of season interview. He said, you know what I learned this year? Maybe that I needed to be meaner, is what he said. Maybe his approach was nicer, but it didn't come across right. Maybe he needed to be more of an asshole. That's what he said at the end of the year. He's like, if I learned anything this year, I need to be more outspoken and be truly me, is what he said. That's very interesting that he said that. It could be that Fred tried to pussyfoot around Scott and treat him like daintily, but it backfired even then, and it didn't work right. And he maybe needed to talk to him straight, man to man, instead of pussyfooting around or being helpful advice and stuff like that. Maybe you need to be more raw and tell him what's up. We don't know for sure. We're all speculating. It could be a very weird situation that the way this happened. Very, very strange. Denal saying in press conference, he'd say, we got a lot of young guys when media mention mistakes at space. It's a subtle jab, but if you hear it enough, can see that getting annoying. Well, in some ways, that'll be fun to see how it works with the Houston this year. Will he do the same mistakes this year? Say the young guys on this team. Well, and then something happens again. And then maybe we'll be like, okay, Fred was the problem because it's the same problem in Houston in the same exact kind of way. We'll have to see. That team is more young than we are, and it may be more frustrating for him. And if his number one, vets next to him are like Dylan Brooks, you think Dylan Brooks is going to help him in this situation with old vet head kind of stuff? No, Dylan Brooks is more likely to be knucklehead too. So yeah, we'll see. We're going to test this with the young guys in Houston and see if Fred was actually the problem. I'm open to the idea that it is true that it was Fred's fault. We'll have to see what happens in Houston. That may tell us right there. So we'll have to see. David saying it wasn't an in-game penalty. It was a $5,000 fine. Wow, that's good. Well, maybe they'll do both now. Let's see. Cream saying, if any of you guys see Michael Grange on the street, please punch him in the face. I'll bail you out. Grange out here throwing shit at the walls to see what sticks or clicks. Yeah, all right. I get that. I'm with you like that. I don't want violence against people, but you can maybe tell Grange to fuck off. I'm okay with that. Mike's saying, how does everyone know the young guys were saying pass the ball? Sounds like the issues were with role definition and knowing plays. If a guy isn't in the right spots, then passing is made harder. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I really want to separate two things. It's not the X's and O's in the game plan. That's all Nick. If guys are getting after Fred and Pascal for that stuff, realize it was Nick leading the team and directing them in that way. So all of the criticism of Fred being a ball hog, him chucking it, them using isolation too much and stuff, that's all on Nick's shoulders, Raptors Nation. Stop blaming the old guys for that because it's not their fault. They're just following the coach's orders. Now, the whole thing about tact and the way you go about being a mentor or an older player and a leader on the team towards the younger players and interacting with them, that is more likely where the issues were. It has nothing to do with X's and O's on the court and stuff like that. That's all Nick's realm. that it's about interpersonal relationships and personalities and how they check and how they go with each other. And that's where the issues are from. It's not about knowing plays. It could be about role definition because guys are unsure and maybe they're trying to carve out a spot and maybe there's some competition in that way. But for the most part, I think it really is the tact, as y'all said, of how you go about being a mature leader on the team towards the younger guys who are developing and growing up at the younger end of the bench. So do you understand my distinction? It's not basketball X and O stuff. It's interpersonal relationship HR kind of stuff is what I'm saying. Cowboy saying, who's the Michael Grange guy, Kareem? Michael Grange of Sportsnet. You don't know who he is? Yeah, he's got a very punchable face. Trust me. MSJ saying Ed Denal. Yes. And to me, it came off that he was their mom or something. No. And why do you say mom? Why can't you say dad? Seriously. I also think Fred had no chance at Barnes one-on-one, and Fred felt that and went the mother route on leadership, a mistake made. All right. Once again, you're looking at this in a really weird, fucked up way, MSJ. It's not necessary. First of all, it's not about one-on-one or egotism, like in practice, whatever. You can say that it's because of one-on-one. That doesn't make any sense. That's not what matters. Fred would be very happy if Scotty is very super talented and can do very well and kick ass on the team. And it's not an ego thing about they played one-on-one and Scotty beat him. That's ridiculous. Who cares? They do that kind of stuff. It's all within house and it's all in jest and it doesn't matter. Fred wouldn't be hurt by Scotty beating him in one-on-one. It's obvious the man's much bigger and he could probably kick his ass in one-on-one because he's much more talented than him. His natural talent's much better than Fred. And that's part of the reason why I said Fred had a harder route to the league is because Scotty had better talent and easier time getting to the league because of his talent. So if they played one-on-one and he beat Fred, Fred would be like, good job, Rook. Good job. And he wouldn't be holding that against him. That's a ridiculous take. That's really ridiculous. Now, the whole thing about you guys saying he has to be the mom, well, in some ways, once again, I will say this. Youngsters on our team, as they come in over the years, since Fred's come in, way back, he was that youngster, all the way since Kyle came in at the very beginning, started maturing, there are vets above them that teach them how to be better pros. It's not about mothering. It's not about, I want to be lording over you and being above you. It's about being a helpful person to help you in the new world of the NBA, navigate as a professional, to act professionally, to carry yourself as a professional, to practice like a professional, to eat like a professional, to do activities like a professional. That's what these guys are trying to teach. And you want to call that mothering? I call that mentoring. And yeah, that's ridiculous. Ridiculous takes from you guys right now in some ways on this. And, it is what it is. You guys can disagree with me, but I know the old heads are right. It's just always been that way. It was the old heads were right in the 80s, and then they became the old heads who were right in the 90s. And then the old heads that were the young heads in the 90s became the old heads in the 2000s, and they became right. That's what I'm saying. It's a staircase thing. It's a staircase thing. And these youngsters don't know better than the ones that have been around longer. That's just the damn truth. I'm sorry. You just got to admit this. If you don't want to admit that, well, look in your own life why you're not admitting it. Maybe there's somebody that's older than you that's telling you what to do, and that's why you're not admitting it. Because you hate that person in your own life telling you what to do. It could be your parents. It could very well be your parents. I'm sick of my parents telling me what to do. I'm a rebel, Dottie. You won't want to be with me, Dottie. I love you, Pee Wee. No, but I'm a rebel, Dottie. Whatever. Wait over yourself. Take the advice. Get a bigger bag. Seriously, Fred just wants to get you a bigger bag, Scott. You should just listen to him. Oh my gosh. All right, Shane's saying Bird came into the league acting like a top dog, but he had respect for those willing to teach him. Scotty acts like an entitled fuck with no respect, and it cost us our captain. Scotty Barnes on my shit list. Shane Waters is not happy with Scotty. Well, I don't want you to go to this extreme. It's not helpful in some ways. And we don't know if it was Scotty specifically. Once again, Fred never actually named any names. There's a lot of young players on our team. And it could be that there was one of the other young players that was much worse, and Scotty was actually one of the good young players. So we can't delineate exactly who the issue is. Obviously, a lot of people are speculating that it's Scott, but it could have been Delano. It could have been any of these other young guys. It's probably not Ron Harper Jr. because, well, he comes from a family that he comes from. It's not Jeff Doughton Jr. I know that because Jeff has been an ultimate professional in all kinds of ways. I can tell just from the way he carries himself. So it's not totally clear who the young person is. I don't think it's Koloko either. Koloko's come in as a very good young man, a very understanding young man, and showing and he's putting in the hard work and listening to guys. So we can kind of get it broken down, try and figure it out. Bird is an interesting case because he was very arrogant coming in, but you're right. He said that he had respect for those willing to teach him. People like Dave Cowens, Bill Walton, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale. Those guys were all kind of around when he was there, and they taught him stuff. Dennis Johnson. And he very much respected his leaders, even though he was better than them. He played better than them. He still listened to the guys that were ahead of him because he knew they could teach him things. That's the dumbness. It's stupid. If Scotty is like that, he's dumb then. He's not very smart if he can't take instruction and learning and mentoring from older players. And I don't care what style they give him. They have to accept whatever style he gives. He has to accept whatever style they give him. And if he doesn't like a certain style, well, maybe he doesn't get mentored by that person as closely. Maybe he likes Thad's style of mentoring better than Fred's. And then he just needs to go listen to Thad instead. And maybe the coach should have been in charge of this and looking at this in some ways. Maybe he should have recognized there's an issue between Scott and Freddie right now. You know what? I want Thad to kind of work with Scotty more than Fred. And Fred, just chill out. Don't talk to Scott for a bit. Let him do his thing. That's another way I can turn around and say this is Nick's fault because he didn't control his team with the hierarchy and the leadership and respecting each other. That's very much a coach's duty. So I don't pile it on Nick. I don't want to blame Scott. Seriously, Scott's young, and in some ways he's ignorant. He just doesn't understand. And he has to learn tough decisions as a young man with maturity, it seems. So we're going to have to find out. We'll see. Fun Guy saying, it got to Fred's head. He really started thinking that leadership crap and running his mouth in interviews and conferences. How can anyone not be annoyed, young or old? Bye, Fred. Nick Nurse copy. See, this is bullshit. Once again, you're piling on Fred, and he is the captain. It's not that it got into his head. He was the leader. He was the designated leader once Kyle left. That's not false. Fred was designated the captain. He was very much our leader and captain on our team, and he was supposed to be. It's not an ego thing. It was very much an earned position on our team, and he was the best one to do it. So this is ridiculous. Y'all have some really ridiculous takes right now about Fred in this whole situation. Seriously. He's supposed to run his mouth. We need a leader on the team. You want a leadership void? He was a good leader. The problem was people weren't taking his leadership correctly. That's where the problem is. It's not the person being the leader. I don't give a shit. There's ranks in the Army. You're going to tell your sergeant, you don't lead me right. You have to lead me better. Motherfucker, get on the ground and do 50 push-ups right now, cadet. Motherfucker, you're going to talk to this sergeant like this? That's how they do in the military. You don't fucking come in here. You want to be pussyfooted around? Fred is not like a drill sergeant, that's for sure. So what are you saying here? Seriously, what do you want? You want leadership? You want easy, soft leadership? Oh, hey, I'm a cool guy. I'm your leader now, Scott. I'm so cool. I'll just do however you want. No, you want the leaders to be the leaders they're supposed to be, the ones that taught before and get you in the right place. And even if he's like a drill sergeant, just like I did an impression of, I'm fine with that because that's how it is. That's how it's been in the past. Coaches have been like that with their players, yelling at them and treating them like drill sergeants. So, man, you guys are really off base with this, with the whole way you're looking at leadership on an NBA team and thinking that the young players are right. They're not. They are not right. They're never right in these situations. Just trust me. They're not. These old guys have been in the league for a long time. And they know their shit. And there's a reason why they've been in the league for a long time. Young guys that don't get with it, they get out of the league. That's what happens. That's what happens. The old guys stick around because they're doing it right. The young guys that don't get it, they get fucking kicked out of the league. Seriously. And even the ones that are super, super talented will get kicked out eventually. Watch. Because they'll realize that, oh, this guy's actually a problem guy because he doesn't take instruction at all. He just, he knows all. He's already ready. He's already so talented. He doesn't need to listen to anyone. Well, we don't want him on our team because he won't get any better because he's closed-minded to learning. That's it right there. Denal's saying, just like people are speculating about the passing, it's also speculating about wrong spots at Mike. I'm okay with that. It's a two-way street. Both sides can be right and wrong. I'm sure I'm partly wrong in what I'm saying. I'm definitely sure a lot of y'all are wrong. And it's partly what you're saying. There's probably a truth somewhere in the middle. For sure. For sure. I'll agree with that. Nako's saying, actually really looking forward to the second season of Winning Time. That shows like a Scorsese movie. It's not. Fuck, man, you just insulted one of my favorite directors of all time, Nako. You're fucking crazy if you think that's like a Scorsese movie. That's more like a Farrelly Brothers movie. It's more like a fucking joke Will Ferrell movie than a fucking Scorsese movie. That show incorporates butt humor and stupid, crass, dumb humor when trying to be a documentary and trying to be serious all in one. It fails because it tries to be too many things at once. It's a garbage show, honestly. I only watch it because I want to speculate on how true it is to the real things that happened at that time. And half the time it's sensationalized. The Lakers hate that show themselves. All the people that are portrayed in that show have denounced that show and said it's a piece of garbage that does not actually show what has happened with them. And then some of them are very mad at it. They're actually suing the makers of Winning Time. Jerry West, in particular, really hates his depiction of himself on that. So it's a cartoon. And don't ever compare Martin Scorsese, one of the greatest directors in the cinema ever, to a cartoon TV show, because that show is a fucking cartoon. It's a farce. It's no basis, and some of it's based in reality, but some of it's not real. It's made up bullshit, and they've cartoon characterized the characters in that show. They're not actually like that. Those people in real life. Kareem, they did not do him justice. Kareem's denounced it. Magic's not really thrilled with that show either. That tells you enough about that show. You can enjoy it from an entertainment standpoint, but understand the Lakers themselves denounce it, think it's a piece of shit. And then also, I truly believe that they try to do too many things at once. They want to be a documentary, they want to be a comedy, and then they also want it to be serious at the same time. They're trying to do too much. Either make it funny, make it serious, or make it as authentic to the real story as possible. Big insult. Oh my gosh, to Mr. Scorsese. Oh my gosh, that's messed up, Gerald. That may be the worst comment today. And I've had some pretty bad comments today. Don't ever put Martin Scorsese in the same sentence as Winning Time again, please. G saying, can't call the team soft, then coddle them. I don't understand this need to be gentle all the time. Can't relate at all. I don't either. I really don't. And that is the problem with the young generation. They really want to be coddled, and there's none of that. You serious? You want to get something hard? You got to go through the hard stuff to get to it. You want it easier? You think you can get it easy just by being soft through it? No, you won't get it right. There'll be somebody who went through the hard way that will get it. Anthony Edwards, Jimmy Butler, those kind of people that did it the hard way will get it, not the coddled, oh, easy way kind of people. That's what I'm saying right there. Kareem saying that Cowboy, Raptors insider, but I think he should be charged with espionage or some shit. And I don't know why Infamous timed you out, but I'm going to read all your stuff, Mike. Gary Trent Sr. said we're too soft. He was right. And coddling last isn't the way. That's how you create Westbrooks. Yes. You know, Gary Trent Jr. is not soft. We see how his dad treats him and how he works out. That is a great young player that isn't going that way. He doesn't want to be coddled. He's going the hard way. That's what I'm saying. Young Raptors, be more like Gary. Maybe y'all need to go train with Senior. He might get y'all into this and get y'all right. Iceman saying Orlando is promoting former Raptors player Anthony Parker to GM. Summer League starting lineup. You think it's going to be Marquise, Noel, Joe Wieskamp, Grady Dick, Gaye, and Moses Brown? That's an interesting lineup. You know what? I'll do that speculation. Congratulations to former Raptor Anthony Parker on becoming the GM of the Orlando Magic. That is a huge deal, and I love hearing that. Let me go look at the roster real quick, and I'll tell you what I think the starting lineup will be. Iceman, I think Noel will start at point guard. I think that's right, and I do think you're right as far as Grady for sure. I'm not positive about Joeezy. I think Ron Harper's definitely going to be starting. I think it'll be Noel, Grady Dick, Ron Harper Jr., and then the power forward, or maybe they'll put Joeezy in too and run a little small. And maybe they'll let Ron do the power forward because he can kind of slot up there. He's a little short for it, but he's got the size to throw around. And then maybe Moses Brown, just because he's the oldest player at center. So I could see that. You know, Moses Brown is the most experienced. He's not the oldest player, but he's got the most NBA experience. So that could very well be what it is. I'm going to guess it's something like this: Noel, Harper, Dick, Wieskamp, and Moses Brown. I'm going to guess that's the starting lineup. We'll see who's right. We'll see. We'll find out very soon. Thank you, Nameless, for the cutoff. Let's see. Danelle saying that's way out of pocket, Shane. Wow, I think Scotty wanted to play faster, or he saw something and got frustrated. But that's a really wild take. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Shane's showing the very extreme other side, and it really does show that there's a Scotty versus Freddie kind of thing from this past season. Because some people may be more Fred, and they'd be like, Scotty's the biggest piece of shit for what he did this year with Fred. Now he's gone, and then some other people's like, "Oh, Fred was the problem all along. I'm so glad he's gone. I love Scotty." So that's the thing. If you're standing too hard for Fred or for Scott, then you're probably part of the problem. It's not, it's probably both of them were to blame to a degree, and you probably need to be right in the middle. But for me, I'm always going to give the benefit of the doubt to the older player because they have the experience and the knowledge and they know better than the younger player. But once again, we cannot speculate as far as Shane has to what the problem is with Scott. I don't want Scotty to be the problem. I want Scotty to be successful. I want it to understand that he needs to take the mentorship from the older players and kick some ass because of it. And I know he probably does think that, but it's questionable right now because of different issues. So I don't know what's true and what isn't. I'm not going to dump on Scott like Shane has, but also at the same time, I'm not going to be like condemning our old guys for telling the young guys for being soft because they may be very well right, like Gary Trent Sr. said in his interview. So yeah, Infamous is saying, "Salute, freaks. The info came from Grange. I have a better chance of getting pregnant than him getting a story right." Well, I'm once again Samson Folks backing it up also. So I'm gonna go with Samson. I'm very trusting in Samson. I may not be trusting in Michael Grange, but Samson Folks said that this is a very real divide on our team, young versus old, and it was bad. Those are Samson's words. Fun guy saying, "Shane, you bum. What are you talking about? Don't blame Scotty. Go blame the bums who have such a huge ego and can't listen to young guys to get better. Taking all ball hog side. Fred got booted out for a reason." See, I don't know if you're being comical or not because that sounds hilariously sarcastic to me. That sounds ridiculous. Like who? Scotty's got the ego if he won't listen to them. That's the problem. There's a hierarchy to things. The ego problem is with the person who won't listen to people he's supposed to be listening to. The part of the job description as a younger player in the league is listen to your vets. So the ego problems with the person who's not listening. So don't say it's Fred's ego, it's Scott's ego in this instance. Seriously. If he wasn't listening to Fred, that's Scotty's ego problem. Seriously, it's not Fred's. Fred's supposed to be in charge. Fred's supposed to be the leader. Fred's the captain. He's doing his job, and young people don't listen to him. That's the ego problem of the young person. So don't get it twisted, fun guy. You can try and turn it around, but that's the issue right there. All right, I don't know why Infamous took you out, but I'm gonna read every one of them anyway. Gee, facts. It's moving the target with the truth now because the truth didn't support the narrative of the majority of the fan base, so they played everyone for clicks until they could release the truth. Yeah, that's messed up. I don't know. They, in some ways, they do have an oath to not put our stuff on blast to make it to the point where, it's so bad in the middle of the season. And that's why it's all happening now to a degree. So remember that. Sheer constant. I have no issue with Wade leaving Chicago Sky to the Raptors because in a lot of ways, NBA and WNBA are sister leagues. People going back and forth is just an opportunity thing. Yeah, it's just disruptive in the middle of their season. And some of them are like, well, why don't you finish up the Chicago Sky season and join the Raptors after that? Well, he needs to come in and be a part of getting ready and getting set up. In some ways, that's what pisses them off. It's like, well, wait, finish up your time because it will line up and you'll be able to be done in time to go be with the Raptors. And he's like, no, I got to go get ready right now. They need me right now. It's like Nick won't go coach Team Canada at this point. It's a similar kind of thing. Is like they need me right now in my time, and I'm sorry, I'm out. And that's how it goes. Sheer constant in regards to player egos on the team. The top player who comes into the league has to realize they're not the top dog anymore, a la Scottie Pippen in the second episode of The Last Dance. Okay. You know, I don't know exactly what you're trying to say. Young guys, even if they're the most talented player in the league. All right, let's take Victor Wembanyama, for example. He's a generational talent. He's by far, obviously, going to be the best player on the Spurs this year. Now, there's going to be an older player on that team that's going to mentor him and teach him. Victor is humble enough and smart enough to take that guidance, even though he's 7'5", and he's obviously going to be the best rookie this year coming up. He's not that egotistical that he's open to taking the mentorship. He's already sat down with the legends of the Spurs and taking and soaking it all in like crazy. Victor has the kind of personality that's right in a young player's head, that he wants to learn and that there's nothing like this. He's a good example of this. He could obviously have heirs to him and come in like, oh, I'm a badass. Scoot Henderson may have that a little bit himself, or Brandon Miller, but Victor does not. And that is a very good example of that's bullshit. You can come in as the best player in your draft and you don't have to act like a prima donna. You don't. You could very much be open to taking instruction from your vets. And Victor is an exactly good example of that. All right, guys, I'm going to kind of go quick because I know I really got to finish up. She's got to leave soon. And I want to get some time with her before she goes. Let's see. I'll check into it. Orlando promoted Anthony Parker. Yep. Bol Bol would be a great addition. What the fuck? We're still talking about Fred. He's gone. Let's go. Let's see. It's funny the timing of the info. No one was buying the Siakam trade crap, so they dropped another frustration issue for clicks and worrying. It's nasty parasitic behavior by the media cuddling. Okay. 905, congrats, Jama, on their Instagram. That's really good. Monique Stargate saying thank you at Pope. Why are we still talking about Fred? He's no longer with his franchise. Well, there's still fallout. We got a new information today and a new article that includes Fred in the issue. So that's why we're still talking about Fred. As I said, we're still going to talk about Fred to a degree. He's a part of our history. Fun guy saying, for real, Seymour, screw Fred. He ain't with us anymore. I don't care for him, but I've always seen the negative aspects of him. He's just like Nurse, head too big and ran his mouth. Pascal never. I love Pascal. All right, I love that, fun guy. Let's see. Infamous saying, the disrespect for Fred needs to stop. The man literally bleeds for our chip and has the scar to prove it. I wholeheartedly agree with Infamous. This may be one of the best comments today. Denal saying, the media in Canada is very, very cringe. Whatever this is all true or partly true and way overblown, this media plays with narratives way too much. Yes, it could very well be Bell and Rogers fucking with the Raptors. I think they're trying to fuck up their franchises right now. TFC is now declared the most biggest dumpster fire in the Major League Soccer League. And that is MLSE trying to mess up their teams on purpose for some reason right now? I don't fucking know. It could very well be. And they're the media conglomerate that covers their own team. So why the fuck would you hurt your own team in sales? Sportsnet and TSN. If you're the same company that is, it's really messed up. Cowboys saying, let's stop with Fred and fuck Nick Nurse. Let's go Raptors and Raptor Freaks. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Seymour saying, we're not dissing him. We're just looking forward to greatness. Raptors for life. I love that, Seymour. Raptor Freaks, let's go. Space Cadet saying, would be pretty hilarious if we got rid of Fred and brought in Murray. He's basically a more immature and less effective version of Fred. He's also extremely cocky and arrogant. Makes no sense. Yeah, that's someone who has an ego problem. Don't think Fred has an ego problem. Go see what DeJounte Murray's all about. He has an ego problem. That is for damn sure. Trust me. And anybody who wants to be like DeJounte, you have an ego problem too. Just trust me. Cowboy saying, our team is already better. Let's go. Shock the world. I love that, Cowboy. Fun guy saying, let's go, Scotty. A real vet-like player with impeccable IQ. If Pascal is extended, that's our duo for generations without some 5'11 egomaniac holding us back. To think I stood up for Fred for so long. Crazy. Denal saying, or Mike saying, Denal, facts. The producer style of news, if there's something, I want the truth, not what you think. I want to hear, so I click more. It makes everything so hard to understand, forcing people to read hard. The other thing is Twitter has NBA Central, who's already been deemed as a garbage site that doesn't really have any real sources. They're just putting narratives out. And because of their logo and the way it looks, everybody's fooled for it and thinking there's real shit. NBA Central is an account on Twitter that y'all cannot follow and take anything that they say as truth. They're messed up. And it is really, that's part of like what the problem is. There's AI in society now. Well, there's fake news all over the place. And it's really hard to figure out what is actually real anymore. Ball Sack Sports, NBA Central, they might as well be the same kind of a channel or account on Twitter, just so y'all know. Mike saying, per Michael Scotto, Raptors had interest in Malik Beasley, but we have Dennis Schroeder. Malik went to the Bucks. Now I'll take Schroeder instead, regardless. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Monique. Nameless is saying, bro, I'm not sure if two players on the same team should be doing that. I'm pretty sure it's a conflict of workplace interest if we're going to keep things entirely equal. I'm not even sure what you're talking about at this point. Stargate saying Scotty and Precious came to mind right off the bat in terms of maturity. I don't know if it's Precious either, though. It's really hard to exactly figure out who it is. Seriously, I don't even know if I want to point a finger. I'm just going to hope this problem's gone away for the season and it was just a last year's problem. I don't want to come after Scott in any kind of way. Seriously, I love Scotty. And I think he's going to be a great pro and he will listen to people. It's just he may have had some tough lessons with Fred around and maybe he's better for it going forward. I hope that is true. Fun guy saying, laugh out loud. I'm going in on Fred today. I've been fine with the negatives for years, but he's gone now, and guys trying to blame our young guys like Fred was in the weird egomaniac one. Leave Scotty alone. All right, he's doing what I did to Nick. In some ways, all right, I'll let you do it. And I like that you want to stand up for Scotty. Let's just put it that way. I'm not trying to come after Scotty. I'm just trying to figure out the news of the day. That's all. Seymour saying, remember when Nick pushed Precious and he got hurt? I knew from then he was done. What do you mean? Who was done? Nick was done or Precious was done? Because seriously, Precious had a hard time. And that's kind of true what happened there. All right, it jumped real quick. Let me make sure I get back to the right one. Yeah, we are way over, and she's kind of getting in a place where I know she's antsy. So I'm going to figure this out really, really quick to get done. La, 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 la. Where was I? Okay, here. Nameless saying having that around is like having a 3-month subscription instead of a 2-year package. I'm not sure what that means. Mike is saying, fun guy, don't worry, bro. Scotty's 21 years old. It's an age thing, not a personality issue, in my opinion. It took Lowry till he was 26 to stop bucking the older guys. So maybe Scott will figure it out sooner. I think he'd be probably figured out sooner than knucklehead Lowry. Seriously, Lowry was a knucklehead when he was a kid. Let's see. Cowboys saying bold prediction. Darko wins coach of the year and Grady breaks the 3-point shooting for players in the rookie year. All right. I'm all about that, Cowboy. G saying Fred and Scotty were themselves. People learned each other and they have just recently liked each other's posts. That is all media spin. And they're setting up a narrative to go after Scotty in the future now. I hope that's not true, G. We'll have to protect them as Raptor freaks for sure. Let's see. G saying, I believe the reports, but being frustrated is nothing new in sports. People grow. I'm all about that. Cowboy saying, hurt now, Burton's. Let's go. Name is saying, infamous, you just hit logical. Lex, we've got to start retracting some of these wrenches, big guy. Maybe we'll cut down on how many we have, especially since our times are still way too long. You all need to help me with the cutoff better, and y'all need to enforce it. I can't be on for much longer than 2 hours. If we get to 3 hours and stuff like that, I hate that. I want to be on for 2 hours. So if you can help me with the cutoff, I don't want to skip the comments, but also if y'all have a wrench, don't fill it up so much. Mike is very measured with how much he fills up, and I very much appreciate his consideration. So I'll ask y'all not to spam too much in the comments. If you have a point, go ahead and make it once. There's no reason to duplicate it over and over again because the stream becomes more duplicitous. So make the point once, we'll talk about it, and that's it, and kind of not move back and forth so much. Let's see. Nameless saying you're going to sacrifice yours if necessary. All right, Jesus. Cowboy saying it's another beautiful day in Toronto for my Peppers. Everybody get outside and walk. All right. I love Cowboys positivity. Nako saying I think Fred had uncomfortable talks with Pascal a season or two back. So I don't think Fred's going off just because I'm your senior. No, he's not like that. Once again, you guys, a lot of people who are anti-Fred right now have a really strong misconception about who he is. They do not understand who he is. Carlos saying that this looks like a culture issue. Coaching staff should have addressed this. Yes, Carlos hitting it right on the head. This is a Nick Nurse fire that he should have put out, and he never did. Randolph saying, Lex, people and situation can change you if you do not stay true to who you are. As a father and husband, I have had to stop and examine myself out that I was pulled away and became someone else. I love this. This is a great statement by Randolph, and he's exactly right. As an older person, you could be wrong in certain ways. I'm not saying that older people aren't infallible. It's just in certain situations, they probably do know what's best in certain ways. But I like what Randolph's saying, that it is important for the senior person to still take stock of whether they're being fair or how they're doing things. And if they aren't, and they kind of feel like, well, maybe I was a little too hard on them, maybe they can change their approach still. I still do very much believe old dogs need to be able to learn new tricks. And that old saying is, I'm just who I am, and that's just who I'm going to be. Well, that's a fuck up right there by an old person. People need to be able to change at any age. It doesn't matter. So I will say this in that respect. And Randolph's got a really good perspective on this. Denal saying, oh, snap. Boston has 3 of our guys, Justin Delano and O'Shea. During the year, everyone says we suck, but off-season, they're vultures for our guys. Yeah. Yep. Fun guy saying Kyle Lowry was a real leader who is highly respected by players and staff. Fred was an egomaniac. Well, Fred was highly respected by players and staff. He wasn't respected by our fan base. There's a difference right there. And I'm not going to read any more of that. G saying best advice I was given. Someone's strengths are their weaknesses. His ego made history, but may be off-putting to someone. Someone passionate can be called cool or obnoxious. Too nice can be seen as weak. Is the right balance is very important. Monique saying, can someone send me more info on Drew Jones? Can't find much. There's not much. There's only like one page on the GM account where it says coach's profile, and it has like four jobs on it. There's nothing else, Monique. I looked up and there's nothing else on him. I can barely even find a picture of him. So you can only look at his LinkedIn basically and see what he's done, and that's it. You're not gonna find anything else, Monique. Kareem saying Gen X versus millennials. I don't even know if it's that. Like it's millennials versus millennials. The older players are millennials. Fred's a millennial. He's not Gen X. They're all millennials. This is millennials versus millennials. It's older millennials versus younger millennials. Maybe before 2000 millennials versus after 2000 millennials is what it is. Fun guy, Donald saying fun guy about to get blocked. No, I won't block fun guy. He's going off. I understand. He's standing up for Scott. Sometimes we need people to call us out. My kids have told me stuff and had me rethinking things. Just because I'm older doesn't mean I'm always right, always learning. I will say that's true. But in the NBA and that ecosystem, well, if it's a tried and true system of how NBA customs and things have been done, you pass down the ways of the way that it used to be done. And that may be where the conflict is. Internally in the NBA, the way things are done, the old way may be going out the window because the young people don't like it anymore. And that is part of the problem. They have more power to reject it. And that may be the issue that's going on around the NBA in different ways. And I'm with you guys. I know old people can be wrong and be correct themselves also, but I'm talking about the whole like institution of the NBA and how it's been in the past. The old guys teach the young guys how to be NBA players. That's just the damn truth. Let's see. Fun guy saying, laugh my ass off, denial. Freedom of speech. Guys stand for the team and write things and not have some egomaniac. All right. Every time you talk about Fred as being an egomaniac, I'm just going to skip it. It's not necessary. And you're right, he's gone now. It's whatever. It's not like it makes me mad that you're calling him an egomaniac. I just think it's disrespectful to a great legend of our team. Carlos saying it's the coaching staff to manage interpersonal arguments between the players. But wait, the coaches were also infighting also. I think so. I think there was a little bit of infighting on both sides. Cowboy saying cut off. Let Lex get some sun. Thank you, Cowboy. Monique saying, Lex, forgot to mention this. Finally got to see where they do Raptors tonight on Real Sports Bar. The lady I went to, yeah, we were there with them. I was hanging out with Randy one night. Tom and I were hanging out with Randy, and Greg was there too. Yeah, maybe we'll have our get together in that corner of Real Sports. I don't know. We'll figure out where they want to put us. There's a lot of room at Real Sports. So we'll have to see. July 15th, 3 p.m., Real Sports Bar and Grill. Raptor Freak meet and greet for the summer. July 15th, 3 p.m. Go down there and meet us. Shirkan saying, I consider myself an old head and have come to this with experience with teaching and learning. There's no such thing as one size fits all approach. An approach may work, but one person, but not the other. Yeah, and that's one of the strengths of Darko. It could be that Nick had very limited approaches and he wasn't effective at being a leader at a certain point because he didn't have enough of those. I think Darko does, and that's a really good skill to have. Shirkan saying the one constant is team culture and communication. The team has to be cohesive enough to have productive arguments and not spiral into negative spiral. Starts from the coach down. Yep. And he did not do a good job of cleaning that up. Shane saying 100% it's Scotty. The younger generation throws around the word daddy to make fun of somebody trying to reason or show authority. If that is not the worst sign of disrespect, I do not know what it is. Yeah, I'm with you on this. In some ways, I'm very much with Shane. I really do feel like the young people need to wake up and understand the ones that get this will get further in the NBA, like Victor. Watch Victor Wembanyama. He's going to be amazing, and he's going to do so well because he's doing it right. He has the humbleness. He's able to take the leadership from people. He'll bet you he'll listen to Gorgie Jang, a guy who's a journeyman who has probably never going to be anywhere near as good as him. He'll come and listen to a vet like Kem Birch. You know, it may be like Kem Birch, you're broken down. You're not going to do anything for the Spurs at this point. But you know what? You have leadership, and Victor will listen to you. That's the difference. There's going to be young players that are open and wise and not so fucking egotistical that they won't listen to anybody else, because that's where the ego is, by the way, that they will excel and get further than the young players that aren't and are turning their ears off. Victor will get further than a knucklehead that is not listening. And that's just the damn truth. So there are good youngsters that are listening. Anthony Edwards, he's another one. But there's a lot of youngsters that aren't. And those are the ones that are more likely to fail and not get as far in their career. So there's the difference right there. Let's see. Can't be all on Fred when it comes to dishing out knowledge. If young dudes aren't receptive, it's their loss. People have to mature as well. It's a two-way dialogue. Same with Thad and Scotty last year. Yeah, they got to listen. He's just echoing what I just said. Denal saying, thanks, nameless, laugh out loud. Last thing, the vets on the Cavs thought they knew best. LeBron showed them, not comparing to them. It's just funny every time I see those clips. Yeah, LeBron's not a very good example because he's such a specialized, unique player in some ways. Monique's saying, W stream all around. Keep at it per usual. Always support your good times approaching. Let's go, Raptors. Can't wait until July 15th. Be there or be square. I love it, Monique. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Very late checking in. Well, I got to get out of here, Cool Cat. Please do not add anymore because I'm way over time and Adrienne is here and I'm trying to leave the stream right now. The media is mourning the loss of Fred VanVleet, and they're going after Raptors with all their sly negative posts and articles. I don't like this narrative of that people thinking they're like kissing Fred's ass and mourning his leaving. It's true. He was one of the better people for a quote and interacting with the media. And forgive them for liking those kind of players. It makes their job easier. Fred is not this kind of person. Y'all are painting him in such a bad way right now. They rightfully should honor him and write all the nice stories about him as he leaves. That is what we should do. He's a Raptors legend. He's a great success story we should be proud of, and forgive the media for tooting his horn on the way out. You can say, oh, it's them just kissing his ass like they were before. Or you could say this is retributive, this story today, but I think that's bullshit. I think that this story is true and that it's just come to light at this point because in some ways it's easier to talk about because Fred's not in the middle of it anymore. He's gone, and maybe we can start fixing it. But the fans need answers to the questions of what the fuck happened this season. And all the media is doing is reporting more to help us understand more. And I don't fault them for that. I'm happy to know more about it, even if it comes from Grange and we're suspicious about his intentions or why doing it, or maybe if it's true. Well, I've got, like I said, you can watch Basketball Rewind's interview with Samson Folk, and he confirms that this is an issue himself. And we trust Samson. We don't trust Michael, but we trust Samson. So if Samson Folk says there was a young versus old divide on the Raptors and it was very bad, I believe that it's true. And, it doesn't matter. That's just how it goes. So let's see. Cool Cat's also saying we are seeing the power dynamics of different generations with the entire NBA industry. We have to be careful and feed the fire within our fan base. We don't want to feed the fire in our fan base. And, young fans that are just like this and this and this, just stop. Just understand this league. If you want your team to be successful, stop being toxic and destructive. And, in certain ways, just stop. It doesn't help anyone. Mike's saying my logical account is blocked now. I wrote a bunch of comments after my last. I need you to unblock it, Lex. W stream. All right. Why did you get blocked? And like, seriously, there's somebody who's trying to fuck with us in some sort of way right now. Where is Infamous? Because Infamous is the one who timed you out. And I'm not seeing them in the comments anymore. And I'm not happy about that. All right. Well, I'm going to go, guys, because I really do need to go. And Instagram check real quick. Marquise Noel is in Las Vegas. He's at the Wynn Hotel Resort. So our guys are in Vegas already. Grady is also in Vegas. We're seeing him check into his hotel last night. Fantastic stuff. That's a real quick Instagram check. That's all you're getting from me on that. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Mike, I will fix this for you. Don't worry. We'll figure this out. And yeah, I'm going to cut down on some of the wrenches because my stream times are too long. I know it's very busy right now and there's a lot to talk about, but even now I feel like we got overwhelmed with a certain subject, whereas I wanted to talk more about Summer League and stuff like that, but we'll do that definitely tomorrow. Thursday Think Tank, Summer League roster. What do you think about it? Let's talk about who we like and what we can expect from maybe the lineups, the starting lineups, just like Iceman was asking earlier. We'll talk more about that tomorrow and less about what we talked about today. Hopefully we just got it out of the way and we took care of that story for today. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Let's go Raptors. And seriously, everybody can learn their lessons. Either you're young or old, it doesn't matter. We're not all that in a bag of chips. You can always learn something from everybody. And I don't care if you think they're dumber or they're younger or if they're this or what. There is a lesson from every single other person in this world for each one of us. Whether you can find it or not, that is up to you. Maybe you look for it or not. You may not. You may discount those people and send them out of your life without learning a very crucial lesson that could have helped you save a lot of aggravation later down the road. So think about it that way. Be open and receptive to learning and not who it is from and discounting it just because it is from a certain person. That's a really fucked up way to live your life. And you will not get further in life if you have that attitude. I'll put it that way. All right, y'all. Have a good day. Let's go, Raptors.